Meet the cereal kids are crazy for, Cthulhu's. Start your morning madness with a bowl of morning happiness.
Cthulhu sale is ongoing now. You will take part. Save up to 33% off gem bundles. You will take part.
Crazy crispity, crazy crunchity, crazy
Select chests up to 50% off. You will take part. Boosters, avatars, wards, and more up to 50% off. You will take part. Party up with up to 3 times favor. Worshippers and XP. You will take part. This is your duty.
Crazy Cthulhu-y, Cthulhu. Surgeon General's warning, Cthulhu's are not of this world and should not be ingested by children or adults over the age of 80. Gems are not included as a prize because Cthulhu's are not real. Reality is meaningless, time is a construct. They not all hope when you ingest Cthulhu's. Use as directed, part of balanced breakfast. For the crispity, crunchity, crazy crunch, get cuckoo with Cthulhu.
You will take part.
Of a balanced breakfast.
Can we take a commercial break?
Welcome back, Smite fans, to our final Smite Challenger Circuit set of the day here for North America. It's the Herculean Hoofs taking on the Tiburones. Before we get to that, if you haven't already, all the way until September 6th, you can still pick up some gems on sale. Started all the way back in August, and we still have a few more days to pick up those gems and get those last few skins at a good deal for yourself if you haven't already. So go ahead and jump on in the game, buy yourself some gems, and buy yourself some cool stuff. I'm joined here with Taco for our final set of the day here for North America, and man, it's been a long one, Taco. I looked down and I realized we're already sitting at like 6 p.m. here. It's been a long one, and we still got this other one to go.
Fun don't stop. That's the best way to put it.
Nope, fun does never stop in here over at the Smite Challenger Circuit. Let's take a look at the standings and the schedule ahead for you guys. If you've missed any of the action so far, you can take a look at what you may have already missed. Team Joystick and Goodnight Nick on the EU side able to get 2-1 victories, and Sturdy Artisans with that last set able to also pick up a 2-1 victory. So far, a day of 2-1s. Hey, why stop there? Let's just go for a 4th one. Why not? Please goodness, please God, please take a 2-0 here so we can get out a little bit earlier and I can have some dinner because I'm a little bit hungry here. But immediately we jump into the standings as well. We see Sturdy Artisans bump up here, and it's going to be a tall task for the Tiburones as they got to take on the undefeated Herculean Hoofs.
Yeah, Tiburones are in last place, but sitting in 5th versus an undefeated Herculean Hoofs definitely means that they have certainly got their work cut out for them if they want to overthrow the dominant giants of the North American SCC so far.
And it's so strange to see Tiburones so far down on when you look at the roster they've had. You got Cope, Ranjaru, Heed, Spreen, and Blugan. All these guys have been making waves in their own roles individually, and as a team, they're just kind of struggling here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were up at the very top for the Phase 1 season and the Phase 1 playoffs, but so far in Phase 2, they haven't been able to have that same level of success.
One thing to note, though, is that this team, despite their standings, I don't think that the record is really all that indicative of the actual performance of this team, because a lot of these sets that they have lost have actually been sets that have gone the distance with all 3 games. It's just 1 or 2 things will suddenly go south throughout, and then they lose control of what looked like it was going to be a promising game series in their favor. So this could be the moment for this team to finally get a chance to not only start strong, but finish strong as well.
They're going to be going up against Herculean Hoofs. They're also a tall task to be stated. I mean, when they're sitting at undefeated right now, but the Tiburones, as previously stated by you, they're a team to go the distance. Even if their record loss is on the lower end of it, that is not to mean that they are a slouch of a team and one that you can just take for granted in these fights. You got to give it your all facing off against this roster.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, if you leave any sort of these individuals in that 1v1 scenario, I think that solo kill at the end there was a primary example of what could happen. But then again, when you're dealing with the likes of the Herculean Hoofs, these are also players who actively try to seek out those 1-versus-1 scenarios.
Formerly known as the Baskin and the Boys kind of squad here, and that's what their mid laner Baskin kind of leading the charge for this team. But he's not the only player on this team. Mask, Snoopy, Meerkat, and Not Gino. If you haven't already heard those names before, well, I don't know where you've been in the Smite scene all this time, whether competitive, ranked, or even sometimes through the casual scene, but these are 5 of some of the strongest NAC SCC players out there.
Without a doubt, and it's only going to be all the more problematic here today for Tiburones. They're definitely going to have to bring their A game if they plan on overthrowing and ruining that undefeated record so far that the Herculean Hoofs have been able to build up.
Similar to a lot of our SPL teams, this is a team that's really difficult to go in the draft phase against because you never know what the Herculean Hoofs are going to bring out for a game. Maybe Baskin decides Thoth is a really fun god today. Maybe Meerkat decides he wants to play King Arthur at some point, even though despite the fact we rarely ever see them. So it's really hard to draft up against this team, and it really just comes down to how do you even contain this team when you get into the actual fighting portions of the game.
If Tiburones want to try and give themselves a chance here, I think what they're really going to need to do is just buckle down on that early to mid-game pressure point, because that is definitely one thing that I think separates the Herculean Hoofs from the rest of the league, is that not only is their synergy probably one of the most intact out of all the teams in the North American Challenger Circuit, but I also believe that this is a team that just plays flawlessly next to each other. And it's almost like these guys don't even have to communicate at times. When they're making plays, it just seems as though they're reading each other's energy, they're reading the initiation points, and they're just going. There is no hesitation when it comes to the Herculean Hoofs, and I think that that's the exact level of commitment that the Tiburones are going to have to try and work with if they want to try and bring this team down.
Well, let's see if the Tiburones can bring this team down as we hop into picks and bans for game number 1. And as you highlighted, the Herculean Hoofs are a team that kind of feed off of each other's energy. One guy's doing really well. All right, well, let's just play through him, whether it's Baskin or Mask or anybody else through it. It's, okay, where's our lead? Let's try and exacerbate this lead. Let's try and really push what we've got for. And that's one of the things that so few teams have the ability to do, is really push through the leads that they're able to make strides in for those players. And as the first bans come through, Tiamat banned, but surprisingly Persephone actually gets banned away.
Would probably expect that the Persephone and Sobek bans are intended because Herculean Hoofs being in that first pick position and them having Mass, it could be a setup for an Osiris or an early Gilgamesh. Those have been such popularized picks in the league that the Herculean Hoofs just feel comfortable whenever they're able to establish that kind of early pressure, and Odin having been the ban of choice means that Herculean Hoofs are going to be able to take this Osiris for themselves, and again, all up in the air as to where they actually want this Osiris to fall, so they'll get a chance to see the rest of the Tiburones draft before they have to make their responses.
A little bit of flexibility with that Osiris. You can either take it towards jungle. We've seen a little bit more in solo lane, but most often we do see him rotate over towards this jungle. Now with this Gilgamesh locked in, I don't think there's any other team in this league, in the SCC, at least for the NA side, where I think that this Gilgamesh is one of those, all right, he's locked in for that jungle. Blugan was the primary pioneer to kind of bring out this Gilgamesh support, so be on the lookout for the Sharks here as they kind of go with this little more flexible and ambiguous first pick.
Hey, I asked for early game pressure though, and Tiburones are certainly delivering. Seeing that Raijin being paired alongside of the Gilgamesh, that's definitely a lot of early to mid game dominance that could be brought forth, and I also really like this addition of the ROM. Astral Barrage is going to make it even more feasible for a lot of that burst damage to really line up here for the Tiburones. As far as these top threes are concerned, J-Mac, I'm really liking what the Tiburones have going for them right now, but when it comes down to it, execution seems to be the make or break factor here.
And when you give Baskin a god like Giannis, that's asking for a lot of execution, but Baskin is one of those mid laners who is capable of doing it. He does have a very wide mid-lane mid-lane range of his god pool. That's the words I was trying to find there. Yeah, look, we've been here a long day. Give me a little bit of slack for it. As we go into the bans, the second phase of it, Terra and Ganesh taken away by the Sharks. Meanwhile, we're seeing Kamazats, and I hate the fact I have to say this. We're seeing Ardio a lot more through here, man. Ardio, one of those super obnoxious Guardians who has that flexibility between support, between solo lane. It's just such a nuisance to go up against.
It can be a nuisance to go up against, but that's why the Herculean Hoofs don't want to try and deal with it. They'll just opt to ban our way instead, and with Nike and Kumbhakarna being their last couple of lock-ins, the response is Fafnir. I think that this Fafnir being left to a 10th pick, man, of all things, that's incredible, really, to see Fafnir, such a heavily prioritized god, especially at the SPL level, wait until that 10th pick position. But Herculean Hoofs, they could have taken it for themselves had they really wanted it. Although I do like this Kumbhakarna Fafnir matchup could really go either direction, because on the one hand you got Fafnir, who's great at killing Kumbha out of his passive, but on the other hand, Kumbhakarna, I think, when paired alongside of this Nike, a lot of slow acquisition here. That's the main thing that I'm taking away from the Herculean Hoofs. All 5 of these gods have some form of slow application that could be problematic in terms of just the outright collapse potential out of the Tiburones.
So you like the top 3 that was coming out of the Sharks, and now that we see all 5 of these, as a quick thought, you know, where do you kind of put your favorite towards?
Tiburones, if their execution is on point, but Herculean Hoofs, they've been dominant for so long, J-Mac, it's going to be tough.
We'll have to see if the Hoofs can keep the ball rolling here for game number 1 as we take it over to Gormizer and Mifflin to bring us the action.
Thank you so much, J-Mac. That's right, the 4th and final set of the day. The Herculean Hoofs and the Tiburones. My name is Gormizer. Joining me, as J-Mac had just so eloquently put, is going to be Mifflin. And alongside us, as always, is going to be Doug, hanging out for what has been a pretty long day, man. We're coming up on, what, 7 hours straight of broadcast? So buckle up, because we're going to keep going.
All right, Gore. You know what? Every single game has been a 3-game set so far here today, barring the last one, but that was actually a 3-game set as there was a DQ.
The score did say that it was 3 games.
2-1. What do you think? We got 3 here? I think the Hoofs and the Tiburones can go the distance?
Man, so the Hoofs are undefeated, right?
Uh-huh.
Up at the top.
And the Tiburones
are
defeated.
Like 1-3.
Yeah, they're defeated, for sure.
I'm feeling a 2-0. Not enough that I'd put money on it. Last time I made a bet, I actually had to give $20 to Katie.
Well, I'll tell you what. We can bet. I'll take that action, but you only give me 5.
I don't have a 5. That's why it was 20.
Oh, no. All right, I'll take a 20 then.
I was very certain about specific song lyrics. It was a Pussycat Dolls song. And I was like, I guarantee this is in this.
That's the most Gormizer thing I think I've ever heard.
It was not in that song. Turns out it was in a different song, which, by the way, the lyric I was saying was the title of the song.
Nice.
So, naturally, I had to give my wife $20. Either way, the Herculean Hoofs, as of right now, Mifflin, are the ones that are trying to keep an undefeated streak going. The Tiburones were, like, they're this team that admittedly did really well last year. It's kind of surprising to see them, I want to say, pivot as far down as they are at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a stacked talent roster at the SCC. By the way, for those of you at home who have not read the left hand of the screen, this is actually Baskin and the boys under a new name, Herculean Hoofs. Titular Baskin still playing out of the mid lane, that's and I think that's something that you can apply to all of Baskin's teams going forward.
It's always just Baskin
It's going to be Baskin and the boys, regardless of who it is. I don't care if you give me like a 2-time world champion lineup and then Baskin's on the team. That's Baskin and the boys.
It's like, I guess what, NRG plus Baskin, it's Baskin and the boys.
Baskin
you
and the
take
boys.
PK plus Baskin, it's Baskin and the boys.
That's facts.
That's
no
I
printer.
had to go through because I was like 2-time world champion. I was like, how many are there?
Not a lot.
There's not a lot. So it's a really, really slim pickings. As of yet, nobody's been able to get too aggressive. Although Gino may be looking to change that. This Koopa pick is different. I mean, maybe not just different in general, because we've seen Mogao running it solo in Europe. But I can't remember the last time I saw a Goomba support that wasn't me playing it in a casual game.
Actually, Gino's been going towards this pick a couple of times in recent history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just likes it.
I need to do my homework.
It's good peel. It's got decent survivability in the late game, thanks to his passive, but maybe not so much up against this Sharks team, as both Heed and Blugan in the Dragon stance will legitimately eviscerate him. I mean, his passive might as well not exist against these ticking auto attacks of both Jormungandr and Fafnir, but I think it's something that Gino really likes going towards, especially when Baskin is playing a god that wants to play that assassin style. And, well, Yanis does exactly that. Gino going to be kind of riding in his pocket in these late-game team fights, making sure that he's always doing exactly what you see right now, just being generally annoying.
Yeah, has a root, has the mez, and of course we haven't seen it yet, but at level 5 we'll get that epic uppercut, just knock someone out of the fight for a few seconds. Always feels really solid. Easy setup from that point forward for Snoopy, but like you said, for Baskin as well, as the gank's going to be happening over here on solo. Heed forced to ult. He might actually be able to get a little bit of damage down. Remember, you get a couple of hops, and it seems like he's going to go ahead and just play it safe entirely instead of trying to get any more damage done to Meerkat. So Heed's going to back off. Nothing comes out of it.
Had he just jumped in one more time on Meerkat and hit it, I mean, the coming out of the ground on the second jump afterward would have killed the Osiris. So I think it's a pretty low-risk play for him to attempt to find that kill, but instead, as you said, goes for the very safe play of just headed all the way back to his tower. Heed does not want to leave anything up to risk and decides to just go ahead and let that one fizzle out. Meerkat going to be the beneficiary of that, but Mast, having rotated in lane, as junglers are known to do, you get the gank, you get the tax as well, and Mast takes the entire wave for himself. That's likely going to put Meerkat about a half level down.
We started this cast talking about bets and music, and now we're actually into it.
Yeah, we're talking about Smite, you know?
Let's talk about some Smite, man.
Yeah, we're talent, we're esports specialists. That's our job title By the way, those of you at home, we are the esports
Well,
specialists.
Meerkat right now needs to be a specialist to get out of this one. Wins of Shamash,
No
drop
way.
down the drop kick, just too short.
Masked.
The tower damage is going to turn around. A good slow from Mask, but he's got no mana. And it looks like this one's going to fizzle out. Cope goes a little deep, but nobody dies.
Meerkat's just not allowed to farm this game. Snoopy similarly in trouble in lane. Renjaru, though, nowhere in range to follow up off of that CC, and Heed looks like he's trying to strip away that blue buff. Was unsuccessful, if the map is anything to go by here. Look, man, the Sharks clearly have got some beef with this Osiris inside of the solo lane and have not allowed him to farm up. That half-level lead has quickly turned into an entire level. Heed 6 to Meerkat's 5. Now 6, so no level.
Yeah, feels, I want to say a little sad if you're Meerkat, but at the same time, there's been a lot of action happening on solo lane that hadn't resulted in anything. I think the gank on Heed was one that, you know, if you're masked and you're Meerkat, you're probably not expecting too much. Maybe you get the kill, but it's Yorm. He's going to ult. You know he's going to be safe. The gank against Meerkat, theoretically, I mean, that should have been a kill, and it didn't end up resulting in it. So Meerkat maybe just happy to be alive as of right now, even if it is without a blue buff and without having the pressure necessary to maintain this lane, I want to say, as aggressively. Osiris has still been one of the top picks, even though lately we've seen it out of the jungle. This is one of the few times, I think twice today now, that we've seen it out of the solo lane.
Yeah, and generally when we see him inside of the solo lane, it used to be that he was that OP Death Toll abuser, but no longer are those days here. Gotta
Osiris
go for the
versus
mask.
Bologna, the blood match of the century.
We sustain a lot every single wave, but not the case anymore. Meerkat instead goes for the fighter mask immediately into the Sundering Axe. Just wants a little bit more ability damage going forward, and just raw damage power, if you would, from the fighter's mask. Now into the enchanted Kusari means that he's not worried about damage, and instead wants that survivability. Heat has been putting out a lot of pressure inside of the soul lane, so Meerkat responding in kind.
I'm a survivor. Sorry, that's what started going through my head. He wants the survivability. We'll see if he'll be able to survive. Gino now looking to get aggressive. Mez onto Spreen, immediately into a stun onto him.
No way.
Spreen goes through, gets portaled. Good damage from Baskin. And if they had been able to find the setup I think they were looking for originally onto Spreen, that would be one dead Raijin. But as of now, he just walks away safely. That's 3-4 ganks that we've tried to see so far this game. And none that have come to fruition. We'll see one more. Meerkat jumps over the dropkick, and now they're looking to turn it around. Gino, Baskin are over here to try and capture Heat, and that's a lot of damage. The first blood's going to grab him right before he can get into the ult. That safety is stripped away. Now Blugan is the one standing between four. He's going to be able to walk over the rift into the Tier 1 tower range, keep himself alive, but Hoofs still get the first blood.
Here's the thing about how the last minute has been just mechanical prowess from Baskin. I mean, the portal inside of the mid tower onto the Raijin was ridiculous, playing the Thunderclap with his first ability, and then the rotation over afterward, similarly amazing, I'd say. I mean, Baskin is just so good. It's so hard to cast a Baskin game and it just not devolve into, damn, he's good, damn, he's good, damn, he's good, because that's the level of play he's constantly putting out. I mean,
Jeez,
damn, he's good.
Man. He hits the ult through the wall, and is now looking to try and track down Spreen. Uses the portal, had just enough mana for the unstable Vortex. Now the question is, can you get out alive? Drops the rift at his feet, Winds of Shamash slow him down, but not enough. Gino goes for the epic uppercut, gets the knock-up. I think was expecting maybe more of his team to come over there. He is left alone.
Is he out?
The passive might get procced here. Snipes coming down. Good Mez. Now Masked has made the rotation in. The Snipe's not enough to get the kill onto Gino. And they get away with what feels like murder there.
Yeah, Gino peels out for his teammate Baskin so incredibly well. Baskin finds a snipe through the red buff wall to set up for the kill onto the Raijin as well. And Masked now in a position to defend his own buffs. Cope, you're high and dry here, but the rotation of Heat and Blugan being there, I think, enough to stop Masked from going for it.
So far, it's been 8 minutes of, hey, this is why the Herculean Hoofs are undefeated. I mean, they have been playing very well.
It's not that much of a lead, though.
But yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that they've been making some really solid plays, and they've got 2 kills to show for it, 500 gold. That experience maybe speaking a little bit louder, 1,100 going towards their side. But ultimately, the Tiburones are just as in this as they would be otherwise. And so I don't think they have too much to worry about at this point, except the fact that Baskin seems to be popping off a little early on. You need to control that as fast as you can. Ranjaru needs to be worried about the gank coming his way. Good root once again. There's another ult connecting a beautiful portal as well. Unstable Vortex, not enough to find the kill, and Baskin gets taken down before he can find the last hit. A great kill for Ranjaru, and he's able to turn it, but maybe he stayed too long. Gino is taking a peek over there. Good mez from Spreen. Locks it up. Ranjaru walks back in again. This time he loses his life, and Gino might just walk out of here because of it. He gets the mez, he gets the dash, and he's created some space. A dash forward from Spreen. One hit is all it'll take. Yeah, they knock him into the passive, and he's going to go down.
Yeah, Mass not going to rotate over. Not worth his time. Not into 3 members as healthy as the Sharks have on the left-hand side of the map. Baskin does connect it through space and time, but immediately loses his life in exchange for it.
What a wild ride.
Yeah, this has been a very high-action game. Only 5 kills in 10 minutes, and I do mean only. When we're talking about the North American SCC, I think I'm allowed to use that qualifier. Anywhere else, this would be an incredibly high kill count game, but we're used to a little bit more here across the pond at the SCC level. That said, Herculean Hoofs have essentially lost their entire gold lead. Experience still a little bit in their favor, I'd say, but Spreen has done a very good job closing up that 2-level XP gap that Baskin had established, now closer to about maybe half or 1 level.
Well, Masked maybe going to be the difference maker here. This Nike in the jungle versus what is the Gilgamesh on the other side. Gilgamesh maybe a little bit more set up, although Nike's ult is just phenomenal for multitudes of reasons. Maybe it's the health, the shield, maybe it's the slow. It's the slow. Blugan, speaking of slow, is going to be forced to ult here and has been locked up. There's going to be another good portal from Baskin. No follow-up this time around. Turns out Mifflin, even though he died that one time, still pretty good.
Yeah, still has a pretty nice lead for himself and already has the Chronos Pendant, and what I can only assume is going to be a Soul Gem next means that he's going to be surviving a long time inside of these fights, has good CDR as well. Going forward, I expect one of these teams to start looking towards this Gold Fury, and if anything, it should probably be the Tiburones. At this point, Spreen has got a very nice power spike, already has his Soul Gem. Cope is fighting in pretty well at this point as well. I mean, he's got great space control. The burn potential likely favors the Sharks thanks to this Fafnir. So if they're able to strip away this gold before the Hoofs are able to group up, and I don't think Meerkat's leaving this lane anytime soon, considering how much pressure Heat has, could be an opportunity for them to break away just ever so slightly. But they've already established themselves about 500 gold in the lead, which is the exact lead that the Hoofs had just a couple moments ago.
Yeah, it goes to show that realistically, 500 gold is helpful, but not the end of the world. It could just be one small gank away, or, like you said, one Gold Fury away, depending on which team decides to get aggressive. Keep your eyes on the solo laners, because they'll be the ones that maybe matter the most for that rotation. Right now, it's Blugan who is in trouble. Mask jumps in. They're looking for the root. They keep Blugan locked down enough, but don't seem to want to commit too much to the Fafnir, thinking he's maybe too much of an overcommitment. Meanwhile, Heed's just being a bully.
Yeah, Meerkat trying his best to defend his blue buff here, but not much you can do when you're behind an entire level on your opposition. Oh, look, I'm excited to see how this one pans out, not just because it's a Baskin game, not just because it's a Baskin game. All right, it might be because it's a Baskin game, guys. It's a Baskin game.
As it turns out. Hey, guys, did you know that Baskin,
it's
him, Baskin, Woody
and the boys,
is playing in this?
Yeah, but also the boys.
But also, well, you know.
But it's Baskin and the boys.
And the boys.
Yeah, Baskin all up.
It's like Josie
and the boys.
Actually, that doesn't work, because Josie and the Pussycats is like, that's like the thing.
It's like Hootie and the Blowfish.
It's like, well, but no, it's like Hootie and the Blowfish. It's like Baskin and the boys.
Is Hootie a person? We got a game to talk about here, Gore. It has been early pressure from both of these teams so far. Neither one been quite able to establish a lead. That's it.
And really, I was going to say, they've been bouncing back and forth, like you said, but we saw a lot of ganks that like were promising, and then nothing that came out of them. I think a lot of these teams, well, just survivable. That's how I'd describe them, at least in terms of whether it's peel or just straight up health bars. If you look at it, you've got 2 Guardians and a Warrior on one side, and 2 Warriors and a Guardian on the other. So it's going to be difficult to burn through those health bars throughout most of this game. We'll see if Baskin and the boys, which are actually Herculean Hoofs.
we got to start calling them
I was
going to
say, we got to keep calling them the right name, or else we'll get sued, maybe? By them?
I don't think so.
But maybe they just like message us and be like, hey, man.
Please call us the Herculean Hoofs.
We haven't, like, that's not our name anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we changed it.
It's been like a whole year.
We didn't want to be the boys. We're not the background, okay?
Yeah, Snoopy's like,
Good show, though.
I'm really good. Mass is like, yo, I played on the world stage. Meerkat's from the SPL. Gino has got some SPL history behind him as well. The boys.
Snoopy literally was one of the best carries in the SPL for years.
Yeah, maybe we put a little bit more respect on the boys. You guys have upgraded from lowercase to uppercase status.
Yeah, like the show.
Yeah, like the show.
And that's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Pretty good team. Herculean as they continue what is an actual deficit as of right now. You know, we're talking a lot about them. The Tiburones are the ones who are in charge. Lower in the standings, but higher in gold. We'll see how long they're going to be able to continue that. Ranjaru here on the ROM. And managed to get away twice earlier and then walk to his own death anyway. But ultimately had some good snipes and has that presence we've come to expect out of the duo lane. And up against the Heimdall, that's always kind of the big question. Heimdall gets the big heavy hits. Rom gets multiple, admittedly smaller, but way more often hits. And with the attack speed proc, it feels like it's going to be a little bit better.
Lugan now isolated in mid. Nice route into a portal. Should drop him down low. Dragon Transformation should spell the end of it, but Snoopy finds the ult.
Sends him through the realms. We'll see where he comes crashing down right in front of him. That's going to be a kill for the Herculean, who's leading 4-2. Meerkat's not done just yet. Just off the mark is Baskin this time around, but it's not going to matter because the follow-up is there. All 5 members of the Herculean Hoofs chase down a second kill. They get rid of Cope right after Blugen. But now Heat's looking for blood, and Ranjaru has made the rotation in. They separated the team. It seems like the solo laner is going to be the target, but Snoopy's taking a lot of damage, uses the Bifrost to get out of there, will stay alive.
Ranjaru
Heat goes up into the ult. Ranjaru's looking for snipes just off the mark with the last one. No, he gets it right there! And that is going to be a clean kill for Ranjaru, but where he comes crashing down, can he continue this onslaught? It's a different story.
Well, the answer is yes. Ranjaru, credit for the double kill. Mast falls down, and Baskin still tossing out some damage from a range. Meerkat not tanky enough to work his way back in there. Snoopy legitimately just said, Ranjaru's gonna miss. He just walked straight. My man wasn't juking. He's just like, I'm going to my tower. I don't care, and maybe should have cared just a little bit. Loses out on his life, and now another opportunity for one of these teams to start turning their eyes towards the Gold Fury.
He dodged what he needed to, and then didn't dodge what he needed to. I mean, ultimately, I thought that one shot that he missed was the third shot. Maybe Snoopy just knew at that point. He was thinking the same thing I did, which was, oh, yeah, I'm clear. I'm perfectly golden right now. And then Q Ranjaru being able to get the kill. You also get Heed and a really good performance showcasing exactly why Yorm can be solid. Gets a lot of turnaround damage, has a lot of safety when he ults. Didn't seem to be too stressed at any point. In fact, re-engaged with his team.
No, yeah, he is looking very strong on this Jormungandr right now. And gone are the days of Jormungandr, Sun Wukong 2.0, can sit in lane, he's going to clear waves, doesn't really do much in the late game. I'd say now, with how itemization has panned out in Season 8, it's very surprising that we haven't seen too much of this god. I think Jormungandr has great utilization of the Tyrannical Plate Helm, things along those lines, has great bruiser items that he can elect for. The ultimate actually had a slight buff this year, I believe, as well, does a little bit more damage. This god is a contender on the battleground.
I know the Oni Warriors, specifically, which, by the way, watch tomorrow in the Phase 2 playoffs, are one of the few teams, and maybe the only team, that have picked him up so far this year in the SPL. And Heed's making good work on this pick, gets aggressive onto Gino, and then gets mezzed out. And that shows the strength of Kumbhakarna. Just splits the uprights there if you're Baskin throwing down the ult between the Tiburones. And while Meerkat, Gino have taken a little bit of damage, looks like they're going to have to re-aggress into this one. Both the Tiburones and the Herculean Hoofs don't seem like they really want the fight, but they kind of want to fight. Like, they're very timid about going in and committing.
Yeah, they want the Gold Fury. They don't necessarily want the fight. I mean, maybe if you have to fight to get the Gold Fury is what the Sharks' mentality is like, and they are establishing the defensive positioning. Herculean Hoofs sending in Mast first.
That's going to be a good up-down. He gets the healing ripped away from Spreen and some good damage, but now it's the Taiko drums that kill off Meerkat and some snipes that are connecting on Mast. That last knock-up going to knock him out of the snipe, but it doesn't matter. Heed picks up the kill. It's a 2-for-0. The Tiburones take the kill lead 6-5. Oh, it was almost tied up there. Baskin with a fadeaway onto Cope. Gets him low, but now they're going to aggress right back onto the Fury.
And we should have been talking about the Sharks the entire time. These guys are kind of bodying Baskin the boys now, Herculean Hooves. And Heed trying his best to play goaltender. Blugen falls low, and Gino is actually able to work his way into the Gold Fury pit and just far enough in to say, hey guys, you might have better confirmation than me. I am but a lowly Kumba, but maybe you don't want to leave it up to a chance. And the Sharks certainly do not immediately disengage.
You might be 5 people with better confirmation and way cooler burn, but I'm Kumba and I'm just going to be here. And that is enough, like you said,
It's
to
still working
thwart
in
them
mid. He
away.
just walked him down.
And he has damn near no mana. I mean, he has, what, maybe 2 abilities he could throw out? Let's make that 1 with the last smash that he just did. So he's going to have to back to base. But hey, if it works, it works.
Did he just blink?
And that is exactly what they need.
Cope blinked.
And,
Hey, he tried to stop. He tried to stop Snoopy's back, and he didn't. And that's Cope's blink. It's down now.
that's a good catch, though.
Yeah.
Knowing that that's on cooldown.
Yeah.
Slows Gilgamesh down a little bit. His leap's
2
still
minutes.
available, but that is a long time to not have the blink and that setup. Pyromancer spawned over there in right side now. So there's a couple of objectives to fight over the map. Pyromancer seems to be the one, when you're more wishy-washy about taking the fight, that's where you go. That might need to be where the Tiburones or the Hoofs start to peek, because a nice portal gets some damage onto Blugan. Heed seems to be caught out here.
God, he
Baskin
chunks.
just is hitting insanely hard. It's only once every now and then. That's not enough to make Heed fall back.
No, not just yet. He's one more of those. Maybe has to play a little bit more cautiously around the engagement. The Sharks have great defensive wards, making sure that the Hoos aren't able to work too far into their side of the jungle. But as far as the Gold Fury itself is concerned, the Herculean Hoos have the defensive positioning. It's going to be up to the Sharks to work their way in. But as of right now, nobody pulling the Gold Fury, no threat generated. There's no reason for the Sharks to step forward.
Just hang out and relax for a little bit, although Blugan didn't get the memo, takes half his health bar, maybe a little bit more, as the root comes down from Gino. Cope gets aggressive, did it without the blink, but still is able to get the Winds of Shamash, but now he's isolated, and they just absolutely dunk down on the jungler. They make sure that Gilgamesh remembers who they are on the other side. And they lock him up. Same thing. Renjaru incredibly low. Good knock-up from Mask. And that's going to be 1 hit just barely out of there for Renjaru up in the sky. And he's able to turn one around onto Mask. He gets the snipes. He loses his life for it. But what a great play from him. Still trading 2 for 3 with Spreen picking up Meerkat on the very back. And Spreen might be one of the last members to help turn this fight around continually. Snoopy, Baskin, still alive. Still a lot of damage. They're going to get aggressive. Snoopy looking for the knock-up. And ultimately, Spreen's going to dash away. Herculean Hoofs still come out on top.
They do, just barely inside of that engagement. That's playing into a deficit, by the way. It's still 2,000 gold in favor of the Sharks, maybe closer to 1,400 at this point over their opposition. The Herculean Hoofs slightly behind as far as gold is concerned. Experience has started to equalize itself a bit across the board. Spreen now only 1 level down. Blugan only 1 level down, and a 2-level lead for the Jormungandr. Heed, finding the better end of a lot of early game skirmishes, is now transitioning that into some Gold Fury fights. But so far, it's just the Gold Fury. I mean, that's a standard vanilla Gold Fury. Neither one of these teams has been able to confirm the objective itself. And, I mean, we've been jockeying for position and vying for the Gold Fury for, like, going on 6 minutes now, I want to say. This has been a contentious point of the map.
Every single one of these fights has been for the Gold Fury, and not a single one has occurred to have a Gold Fury. Snoopy is the one who's under pressure this time. Uses the Bifrost to get out of there. Gino is getting aggressive and deep. Same thing. Mass gets the knock-up. Spreen locked up into the ult. Baskin's able to connect long range. Meerkat is the one who cleans that one up and then uses the portal to continue following Blugan, who's already low. A couple of hits. It's all it will take to find the kill onto the opposing support. Whoa. And guess who does it? It's Baskin finding all that damage. Cope is low and Renjaru's in the sky. The snipes are coming down, but they're focused elsewhere. They take out Heed. Renjaru comes down. Cope is able to escape. But finally, a team is left with a lot of members, but they're low. They're still going to try for the Gold Fury.
Renjaru, very healthy, is hovering around, maybe has enough health to scare off the Herculean Hoofs. Despite finding the win in the fight, cannot go for the objective.
And that is minute 7, minute 8 now around this Gold Fury without the Gold Fury going down. No one's been able to confirm it. Mifflin, it's getting to the point where whoever wins this Gold Fury might just win the game.
This Gold Fury is the end of it. It's like Gentleman Joust rules. 2 kills or first one to a tower. Now it's Herculean Hoofs and the Tiburones have a gentleman's agreement. First one to get this Gold Fury just wins. And maybe that's the case here. Couldn't be the case. The Sharks would have showed up to defend it. Instead, grouping on the right-hand side, maybe trying to straight out the Pyromancer or potentially go for the Fire Giant or maybe a Greater Scorpion. That seems to be the trade here. Greater Scorpion's going to fall down any second. Cope loses out on 50% of his H bar. Yeah.
It took a long time to get that done. Finally is able to, but like you said, loses half his health. And guess what? That Pyromancer's still just fine as of right now. I think the Meerkat makes this rotation, expecting to have to defend it or to lose it, see it end up falling the other way. But lo and behold, not only is it fine, but they're in a good position to get a Draugr afterward. The tower's feeling a little healthier. That's two technically neutral objectives after a long, long period of time of not having them, swinging in favor of the Herculean Hoofs.
Sure is, man. It feels like the Hoofs almost went to the Jade Dragon school where it's like, look, if our Yanis just hits a carry with the ultimate, we're going to win the fight after that.
We're going to kill you.
Yeah, and that's what happens this time around. Baskin connects the ultimate deep onto the Tiburones side of the map, takes out about half of one of the carry's HP bars, and immediately surges forward with the rest of his team. And now you can see the confidence with which Baskin is playing. Just walks up, tanks a tower shot, and what does Spreen do? Doesn't jump aggressive, doesn't try and return some damage. My man leaped away inside of the safety of his own tower against Baskin, who was Yanis and alone.
Yanis and alone, a new series coming to Discovery. I mean, it's just showcase, like you said, how much damage there's been from Baskin as well as the setup. And in the last fight, it was control that kept them in line with Baskin's ult to help find all that damage. Some of the fights prior to that, he was just hitting it the good old-fashioned way. And we'll see if they're able to do that. Right now, the Tiburones getting aggressive into the jungle. And we can see the timers, they can't. And there's nothing over here for them. So they're getting aggressive into a lot of nothing, although maybe
trying to gank?
Waiting for, a gank as they wait. Now they're going to get the notice. He says, hey, they're over here, man. And he is going to be able to get out of there. Jormungandr things. But ultimately uses his ult to do so. And it leaves the Hoofs to keep themselves healthy.
Yeah, Belugan still has a ward on the Fire Giant proper, so Pyromancer and Fire Giant going to be a little bit more difficult to do. Cope does not love his odds in the 1v1 up against Smast and hates him so much, in fact, that he's going to use his Blink to escape. That is a easy escape for the Gilgamesh, who is now looking to invade the red buff. Meanwhile, Herculean Hoofs have their eyes on bigger goals. Pyromancer burning very fast.
And they're able to pick it up. What was, about almost 1,500, maybe 2,000 at one point for the Tiburones has now shifted to be about 1,500.
Yep.
The other
nearly
side.
2,000.
Nearly 2,000 on the other way. As the scales shift, so does the presence in the Fire Giant pit. Herculean Hoofs. We got to get them to change their name to Hooves, man.
Hoofs.
The Herculean Hoofs are now getting aggressive, and you'll never guess onto who. It's Heed, but this time he doesn't have the ult. Jeez, where does his health bar go?
Damn, he's good.
Snoopy, along with all of the damage from Baskin. The ult's down, but so is Heed.
Yeah, I'd take that trade any singular day of the week. Heed dead for 40 seconds, and
That's
the
a
Herculean
long time.
Hoofs are still incredibly healthy now. Cope starting to work his way forward, but lose out on a lot of his life. Wow, stop, dude.
Yeah, and there's another brilliant portal. Lianis making sure that they're felt. Tycho drums, good to keep masked engaged. But the Herculean Hoofs don't want to be in this fight. Tiburones also don't seem to want to be in this fight. They're down a man, so they're not trying to get too aggressive. Fire Giant going to be left to the wayside as of right now. As it is the bracer right there. From Gino, specifically. Something that we've seen a lot from the Dragons. We've seen a lot today just in general. A lot of these SCC supports picking it up. And it is Gino this time around that's going to have that, which upgraded, yeah, has the damage amp and everything, so it's going to be helpful for everyone, particularly around that Fire Giant.
It's also a Sentry Ward that's on a cooldown, which is pretty nice. You don't have to waste 120 gold every time you back. I think that item, the more I see it, the more I'm turned around on it, man. I mean, it's just a good damage burst. It helps you out with a little bit of survivability. I mean, it's like a weaker man's heavenly sprint if you're low on HP, and it's just really good for controlling vision. How often do we see these skirmishes go incredibly long around these neutral objectives? So long, in fact, that you kind of run out of all your consumable slots.
Yeah.
You don't really have the wards in the pocket anymore. Well, Gino's not going to have to worry about that too much. Every single time he drops that down, he'll be able to clear out a ward, and if the enemy somehow is able to strip it away from the map, it just removes some of the cooldown.
It also entices a little bit of planning from your team to see where they can fight around. Saying that, hoping that Gino was going to showcase, like, hey, yeah, we're going to fight right here, and this is exactly how we're going to do it. No. Instead, they're going to once again go in on Heed. At least try to force the ult out of this one, see if they can mez him and keep him CC'd long enough. Nope, not going to be able to find that. Heed gets burned down to about 1/3 HP, but still gets into the ult. Is able to stay alive. Snoopy just uses the Bifrost for a disengage. Gino is still deep in the side of the Tiburones, and there's going to be a good portal once again from Baskin. Snoopy finds the confirmed kill, 5-1 and 4 for the Hunter.
No.
Gino loses their life, but it goes right through. Baskin with a great ult connects onto Rinjaro, gets him low, and kills off Spreen. Heed is one hit away. Baskin, guess what? Portals forward, kills that one, gets the double kill, but so does Rinjaro, shuts down Snoopy, and now it's up to Cope Baby Masked, trying to box it out. Cope's going to run away. Rinjaro's actually going to take the fight this time around. Baskin's here. Baskin's got a portal. Baskin's not going to do it. I was hoping he'd blink through, I guess is the right way. Portal through. And smack Rinjaro one just because it'd be fun to watch. But ultimately still 2v2. They back off.
Yeah, 3-for-3 trade. Heed picks up a double. Baskin does the exact same thing on the other side. And at the end of the day, it's still a very similar lead that the Herculean Hoofs had going into that engagement. Now 3,000 gold in their favor, which is just about standard for them. Primal Fury has finally worked its way back onto the table. So once one of these teams works their way towards that, strips it from the map, going to give them a little bit more percentage towards the Fire Giant. Less damage taken, more damage dealt. Means that it's going to be a little bit easier to finish off that jungle boss, and maybe we see one of these teams actually pick up the objective and start sieging some of these permanent objectives on the map. Still 4 towers standing for the Sharks and 5 towers standing for the Herculean Hooves, if you want to call those standing. 2 of them incredibly weak. A stiff breeze would knock them over. The one issue the Sharks have been having throughout every single one of these team fights is Baskin. I mean, we've been talking about him for actually 28 minutes ad nauseum. We're not going to stop either until this set's over. It's called Baskin of the Boys for a reason, or actually Herculean Hoofs. They got to shut him down.
But here's the thing. If you look very carefully into the way Herculean is spelled in this, you can see that it actually says Baskin in the middle.
Does it? Wow.
Yeah, it's
I
very,
haven't seen
very
that until
close.
now.
Very, very limited in there. Yeah, you got to get close. He's affected 14 out of 15 kills for the team. So it makes sense that we keep talking about it. Guess what? He does it again. Cope and Spreen taken low thanks to Baskin. And it's going to be Meerkat getting aggressive. Snipes from Rinjaro are returned onto the Herculean Hoofs, but it's not going to be enough to find the kill. Blugan is going to take some damage in the process. Gino is chasing them down. It's actually Snoopy who ends up finding the first blood in this fight, gets the kill onto Spreen, and then mass chase down Rinjaro. Missing both their carries. Blugan incredibly low. Cope forced to back. It seems like they're going to go try to get away, but no, Cope doesn't get the back off. Thought he had it, but the blink forward ult from Gino is enough to lock him up and keep him there. And now, without a Fire Giant, the Herculean Hoofs are going to put pressure on this mid-tier too.
I think they might end the game. We got 30 seconds left on the nearest respawn. Heed, no ultimate.
Minions.
Yeah, I think they could do it, Gore.
Heed has a lot of work cut out for him right here, right now. 1v5. Has the Jormungandr? I don't know. We'll see if he can do it. The Titan is taking damage. The Herculean Hoofs are in control. Heed's going to be enough of a distraction. They're low. They are burning him, though, and that is all Heed is going to be able to say. They get the deicide 7 seconds before Spreen comes back. They get the win 5 seconds before he comes back. They kill off the Titan, and they take game number 1.
Damn. He is good.
Yeah, I guess you banned Giannis now, huh?
What was he? You want him to play Scylla so he can I'm a monster you more than once, or Persephone so he can grasp the death of your whole team?
Just ban them all.
Yeah, ban some mages, and that seems to work for the SPL.
But also then let Tiamat through? No.
Don't
Morgan the
do
Fae?
that. Yeah, ban those.
Yamoja?
Yeah, that's fine. That's not Baskin.
That's not Baskin. Somebody that's not Baskin plays that one. It's okay. We're good. We're golden. Well, we'll see, I guess, how the Sharks are going to be able to handle this one. Because that one, I mean, admittedly, back and forth, a lot of fighting that left us in the exact same spot afterward, just with more people having died. We'll see if they continue that route or if the Herculean Hoofs can close it out right after this.
what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please.
And welcome back to the desk here in our fourth and final set of the day between the Hoofs and the Tijuanas, or the Tiburones to Tijuanas for it. Game number one went the way of the Herculean Hoofs, but before we jump into the breakdown of game number one, if you haven't already, you can go to shop.smartproleague.com. Pick yourself up one of these beautiful mouse pads available for only a limited time, just during playoffs. Is the last little time that you can get this, so it is still considered out there. Limited time, 4 different sizes available to you if you want to see what one of these beasts look like right up close. I mean, you can see how massive. I think this is a 3-foot by 18-inch, and I mean, this thing takes up like my entire like shoulder wingspan plus more. So there's smaller sizes, and there's even one size bigger than this. So if you want your chance at this nice mouse pad, this is your last time to do so. Shop.smartproleague.com. Thank you so much, Insight, for bringing us the mouse pad. Taco joining me here on the desk yet again as we get ready to hop into game number 2. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and repeat what was stated for the cast onto, and it's damn, he's good. Baskin putting in a lot of work with this Giannis, but he had a lot of help with the rest of his team throughout that game.
For sure. I think that the Herculean Hoofs did an excellent job at essentially just playing distraction factor. That's the main thing that you want whenever you have a Giannis on your team, is you're looking for all of that disruption, all of the focus to be drawn towards that front line, because that's what really gives this Giannis the opportunities to be a little bit more aggressive and kind of like an assassin play style for Baskin here with this Giannis. He was frequently just looking to slam those 3 space and times into the back line there for Tiburones and just created so much pressure because you don't really know which direction to expect that through space and time from, especially when you're caught up in the chaos of some of these team fights that are breaking out. But I liked what I saw from Tiburones throughout the first 20 minutes or so. There was definitely a lot of back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, and it's all the action that's just been brought to us today so far. The Herculean Hoofs are no strangers to bringing lots of frontline aggression and aggro amongst their teams. You can see that Baskin topping the damage charts for his team, closely behind Noah Snoopy. Well, I say close, but it's a 7,000 damage difference. The only one close to him was Ranjaru and Heat on the opposite side of the map, able to pick up into the lower 20,000s for themselves. And as we get ready for the mental reset here for game number 2, what's kind of the route that the Sharks need to take in order to maybe try and push the Herculean Hoofs back?
I still like their initial aggression. I think that they played the early to mid game about best they could with their composition. Ultimately, it just came down to the team fights. It might be worthwhile taking that Giannis out of Baskin's hands. I think that there were multiple instances where Tiburones would have actually walked away with the team fight in their favor, but then there's the ultimatum when it comes to escapes, and I think there is no real better escape artist than Giannis.
Well, what do the Tiburones and Tijuanas want to take away from the Herculean Hoofs? Let's find out in picks and bans for game number 2. It is also mentioned by the casters at the very end of it. It's like, okay, you ban Giannis, okay. Well, there's still Thoth and Tiamat and Morgan and Raijin and the whole list of other gods available to bat. Can we just ban Baskin? Like, just the player himself. Say Baskin doesn't get a play today. You get rid of all 5 of your actual bans. You say, can we just ban one player, make them use a sub?
Well, you could try to ban every single mage out there, but even if that were possible, I have no doubt in my mind that Baskin would just off-roll into something a little bit more unconventional. I could definitely see him whipping out an assassin, a warrior, heck, even some guardians are able to utilize a little bit of that 0 power, 1300 DPS factor, especially when you combine it with the Sundering Axe on those lovely builds. So I really don't think that it's about banning an individual player as much as it is just banning certain gods or preventing certain gods from falling into the hands of the Herculean Hooves that I think just cause a little bit too much of the disruption factor.
And a lot of that early game was allowed, Mask was allowed to do a lot of this stuff in the early game because of what Mast and Meerkat were able to provide in that solo lane, making sure to keep that Jormungandr at bay, making sure to keep the Sharks kind of pushed back over towards that right side of the map, and it's really allowed to have them a lot of freedom in that mid line. But it looks just like a spitting image. Did we get the same? Did they put the replay of the same previous game up here? This is the exact same draft, if I'm not mistaken.
It could be a little bit of a salty run back here from the Tiburones. It seems as though they'd rather hedge their bets with this Raijin as opposed to trying to take that Giannis out of Baskin's hands. And again, I don't think that it was necessarily exclusively the Giannis else that was causing so many issues there for the Tiburones. I think it was more so the fact that the Nike, the Kumbhakarna, like those are almost guaranteed. And again, it's just it's the steady application of the slows as well from the Herculean Hoofs in their last or in their game 1 draft. So if any adjustments are to be made here for the Tiburones, well, they've got this Jormungandr in the 3rd pick position. I do believe that was held later on in the draft as far as game 1 was concerned, but trying to strip away some of those heavier Guardian crowd control aspects, Ganesh, Sobek, those are largely just targeted bans, I think, towards Geno.
And since the Jormungandr was picked up before the bans, that left the Hunters available to be banned away by the Hoofs. So they take the ROM, making sure Rinjar has to go to something new. And indeed he does. It's going to be a Cupid selected here on the tail end of the ban phase. Make sure they have something to try and deal with this high mobility mid laner. That Fields of Love is going to be great for crippling them out, making sure they can't walk through those portals, and also just dealing a lot of damage back with those heart bombs. Final lock-ins for the Hoofs is going to be the Cabrakan, and one more time we will see that Kumbhakarn locked in. This Cabrakan, you think we're going to see another jungle Cabrakan this game?
Could possibly be the jungle Cabrakan. I think it's kind of 50-50 between Cabrakan and Osiris. That really just depends on who's feeling what for the Herculean Hoofs, because I have no doubt in my mind that these are all incredibly interchangeable picks, or at least the Osiris and Cabrakan are definitely interchangeable picks here. But I would probably gauge it to be an Osiris for Mass, just because I think that Lord of the Afterlife just has a little bit more of the early game pressure, which can kind of mitigate some of that lack of early game pressure from the Yana. But Cupid plus the Thanatos is, you can't ask for more chase down and lockdown potential, I think, between Fields of Love and that hovering death. So I think it might be a little bit more complicated for both Baskin and Snoopy in terms of just being able to feasibly disengage.
Cope going with his all-time special of the Thanatos through the jungle. See if that's where it ends up falling in place, as I imagine it will. Hopping into game number 2, let's take it one more time over to Gormizer and Mifflin to break it down and bring us the action.
That's right, Gore, Miff, and Doug, one more time for the Herculean Hoofs Tiburones. What could be the last time if the Herculean Hoofs have their way. Not like, look, I'm trying to will it into existence, man. It's been a long day. I want to go home. I want to see my dogs. I want to cook some dinner. I also kind of want to watch some good Smite. So if the Tiburones can equal it out, I guess I don't have too much to complain about.
You know, they call me a bit of a gambler here in the studio, Gore, and I'm going to try yet again. Well, yeah, that was Hindu, and then Hindu, like, I don't know, it doesn't cast anymore. So here I am, the new gambler.
The Gambler 2.0.
American edition.
American.
I'll put $5 on the Sharks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We had this discussion last time, remember, when we were talking about bets that I don't have a 5?
You got 20.
I've only 20s, exclusively 20s in my wallet.
All right, I'll put 100 on the Sharks.
Look, you sent us a screen cap of your bank account this morning, dude. You don't have the money for that.
Well, here's the thing. I don't lose bets, Gore. Take it.
I'm not going to take it. I don't have the money for that.
That's what I thought, dude. All right, Blugan, take a damage.
I'm not a high roller. What do you think? I'm going to put $100 on anything. I could be certain about it, and I wouldn't put $100 on it. Well, that's not true. If I was certain about it, I probably would.
So you don't think the Herculean Hoofs win this one?
No, I can't. I'm not certain.
Well, maybe this is why Masked in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, he's going to be, well, taking a little bit of damage, dealing a little bit of damage. We'll see what Baskin can do. Back on the Yanis one more time. By the way, Masked got the kill onto Spreen. If they get their way, they might be able to find the kill onto Cope just off the mark twice in a row. But they're still going to be able to get first blood. Snoopy almost gets killed on the other side of the map, as Geno's off in no man's land as of right now in the middle of the jungle. Ultimately, the Herculean Hoofs still get their kill and get out.
Yeah, luckily for Snoopy, he's at least benefiting from the death toll, so should be able to sustain back up pretty quickly. Also being Heimdall doesn't really need mana potions, so health potions and multi-pots inside the pocket means that all that poke that the Shark just did, yeah, it's already gone.
Well, keep your eyes on Masked, because guess who's over here in the duo lane? It is him, but he misses the sickle. That seems to be all she wrote. Immediately cancels out on that one. Spreen dashes forward onto Baskin, gets more than half the HP of the mid laner that we've been talking about. Yeah, you're allowed to.
Huh.
If he had just done it last game, he would have known. Let him get the kill, though. Baskin stays alive this time.
He does, and again, has health potions and multi-pots as well, so not going to be struggling too much insofar as sustain. Should be able to heal all that back up, and then some. Going forward, Herculean Hoofs, credit for first blood, find themselves 1,000. Or a little under 1,000 gold in the lead, maybe closer to 700. Don't do math on cast. I should know that, but we're going into the 8th hour, and I'm fried. I'm fried in the brain, so I tried to do math. on cast.
Wow, we've really been broadcasting for 8 hours. 8 hours ago, I was sitting at that desk.
Yeah, me too.
No, that was me and Dave.
Oh, I was casting.
You were over here.
I've been casting for
you were
8
sitting
hours.
here 8 hours ago,
Wow.
as it turns out. We'll see what they can do in the 8th hour. Bum, bum, bum. For the Herculean Hoofs.
Yeah, we're out of it.
Tiburones.
we are out of it here on the cast, but not out of it just yet are the Tiburones, who need to
I'm in
find
the game.
a game here if they don't want to let the set go. Gino in some trouble.
Yeah, good mez. Blugan, though, turning more damage around. Snoopy.
He's
Woo,
out.
Just barely able to escape that one. Cope was coming just behind with a little bit of damage. Could have been the burst that needed to kill off Snoopy. No ult available for the Heimdall yet. So that Bifrost is the only self-peel. Long one, too, which means it's going to be on a little bit of a longer cooldown. Snoopy maybe in more danger over the next couple of minutes.
Should be. He's definitely not got beads for about 30 seconds. The wards are starting to wear off as well. Tiburones actually have slightly more wards on the left-hand side of the map, which means that Snoopy is not only without defensive tools for right now, but also without vision. Blugan not quite able to connect the stun. Means that there's not much more that they can do inside of this lane. Gino actually the target of some of the aggression from Renjaru, lose out on a lot of his HP, and who else but Cope gonna make the rotation in?
No ult for Cope just yet, means no
Never
hovering
mind.
death. Yeah, looks like he's...
Oh, never
well,
mind.
he's hovering, but just around the lane. Gino goes down into the passive. Good damage from the rest of the Tiburones. And that's going to be Blugan who finds the kill onto that. A way big ult from Baskin comes over here, but he's not able to find any of the damage necessary. Snoopy is too low to go back in. Masked is looking to get aggressive. The Heart Bomb from Renjaru creates just enough space. And it's Masked Baskin versus the world. Cope is slowed. One hit is all it'll take. Masked is able to find it.
Man, Cope's got to be thinking to himself, I just rotated in to help my team. I'm just trying to make sure they don't die for this dive. And, well, he's the one that pays for the sins of the Tiburones and falls down yet again. Had he gotten credit for that kill onto Gino, maybe would have ticked over to 5 and had some safety, but instead spends a lot of time hovering.
Well, Snoopy forced to use his ult for the disengage and some peel there. Needs a little bit of help still. He has no health.
What?
Good kick from Blugan, but takes way too much damage from the tower. Blugan, I admire the commitment. Also worth noting, didn't talk about this a whole ton, is the Gilgamesh support, which is something that is now getting punished.
Yeah, I thought that was just, we were going to gloss over it. That was my running bit, is
my
that I wasn't
brain
going to talk
did.
about it. Oh, okay.
But not on purpose.
Yeah, unfortunate. Blugan, actually, I like his decision-making there to try and chase out that kill. There's no world he escapes inside of that engagement as Gino just doing red buff. He's just doing it.
All right, Mifflin, hear me out.
Uh-huh.
First off, we got to see if Gino gets out alive. Gino's fine. Meerkat, we'll have to see if he gets out alive or if he gets
he's
out alive.
dead.
Cope is going to be fine.
Surely.
And Cope is going to be looking for a lot of damage. Good
Surely.
Tremors are making things a little more awkward. He'd forced the ult right there. Gino ends up falling down in mid. And it seems like Meerkat's going to be A-okay this time around. Not able to lock him down. And everything I was going to say beforehand means nothing anymore. Cope ends up getting knocked around.
I thought you had like a bit
What a
you were
good...
gonna do.
I was going to talk about the fact that Kumba and Gilgamesh look very similar. Like if you took a razor to Gilgamesh's chin, it looks very
You're looking at the
similar.
card art next
I'm
to
looking
like
at
their
the
little
card
abbeys.
art. And then they fought, and it was cooler, so I talked about the fight, and then you pulled me back to a bad bit.
Here's the thing about how Kumba is what you look like in real life, and Gilgamesh is
like
your Tinder app.
Your profile picture. Well, Mass takes a little bit of poke here. Now they're trying to turn it around and showcase Blugan that you can't just do that. You can't put this picture up on your Tinder profile, although... Will they be able to find the kill? Cope gets a little bit of damage turned into him. Not able to find the last hit. Finally, Mass is able to secure it, but he takes the damage from the tower shot, and that is going to be another kill, but up and down. Gino sends Spreen right back to the gray screen.
1,000 gold in the lead still are their Herculean Hoofs at about 6.5 minutes into this game, and Tinder profiles or not,
aside,
it still is a lead for the Order side team, and Baskin actually having a uncharacteristically quiet game, I'd say. 0-2 for the mid laner. Doesn't really get either of the kills there inside of that engagement. Wasn't able to get involved too early. Misses out on the unstable Vortex as well, Gino, which forces Mast to dive a little bit deep. But Gino definitely picking up some of that slack and looking to do so here.
I mean, he's just so deep all the time. He's everywhere, it feels like now. Looking for the lockdown. There's going to be the ult from Renjaru. Return from Snoopy, but Snoopy eats too much damage, not expecting the burst pop from the Cupid and not able to combat it the way he had wanted to. A good kill from Renjaru despite the gank from Gino.
Yeah, my heart goes out to Gino there, who didn't do anything wrong. Get that spam rolling in the chat. Gino didn't do anything wrong. Baskin, however, did do something wrong. Steps too far forward inside of his own tower. And yeah, don't do that, Baskin. You die for those.
Well, he does die for those. Look, this time last game we were saying, damn, he's good. We haven't said it once so far this time, except that time where I was referencing that we used to be saying it. And so far,
I'm sorry, what were we saying?
Giannis is a little bit slower. That's the point of this one. We'll see if anyone else is able to pick it up. It feels like who's picked it up. I mean, it's Blugan. He's 3-1 as a support right now. So far, so good in terms of being active in these games. 4 out of the 5 kills landing onto him. Whereas Mask has been a heavy part of the other side. I think it is these two warriors kind of dictating the base of the game.
Wait, did Blugan on Gilgamesh support pull a silver talisman from his quest? That is insanely lucky, man. I mean, that is like good on you, Blugan, and a high roll here. And that's why I said the Sharks are gonna win this game, man. You can't be losing when Blugan's lucky like that.
When the game wills you to win, we'll see what happens as a stun comes out from Meerkat. Beats Force from Heed. There is finally going to be an ult hit from Baskin and an ult away from Heed as he just tries to stay alive. This has been an explosive game. 10 kills in 9 minutes, and it might just be a little bit more than that. Baskin kicked against the wall, Blugan running him down, and will pull back, but it's not going to stop Cope. Cope just blinks on forward into the tier 2, uses the hovering death, and scoots on out of there.
Yeah, all my homies hate Baskin, says the Sharks, and so far it's been working out for him. Last time around, you were right. We were spamming his name and cracking like our 100th Baskin him boys. Yeah,
dead.
Yeah, no, he's just dead twice now. Already 9 minutes into this game, and already Spreen has pulled himself slightly ahead. That is thanks to a phenomenal rotation from Cope, who utilizes the blink to dive deep into the tier 2 tower and finish off that kill. Baskin, got to think he's going to be okay, though. He's still one of the highest farming mid laners in the game. Giannis legitimately walks through walls, so all the back camps are going to be unsafe.
Well, Gino goes for an epic uppercut. I think finally realizing this time around that he has no assistance, no help, no one behind him, and ends up letting that one just fade away. Snoopy tries to solo out a Greater Scorpion. Right? Rinjaro just takes it, and now is looking to take his life, and is just going to walk up to him and do it.
Bro, he had beads. Snoopy could have beads. Snoopy could have ulted out of the fields of love. Snoopy could have done a lot of things. Snoopy could have pressed W instead of S. Snoopy could have turned his mouse a little bit to the left. Snoopy didn't do any of that. Instead, Snoopy died, and now is 1 and 2, 2 levels down on Rinjaru in the lane. Dude, the Sharks, they're going to do it, man.
They're going to do it. And someone took you up on that bet, and they owe you $5. Somebody already did. 100? Yeah, oh, right. You bumped it way later for some obnoxious reason to $100.
Yeah, what's good?
Because I said I had 20s in my wallet.
Yeah, take that action.
I don't have $100.
Me either. I'm going to win the bet, though.
Yeah, well, and then you would, I guess. But,
hey, they're 3,000 gold up. The Sharks.
There are people who genuinely bet that amount of money.
Yeah, you're looking at them.
3,000 gold as well. They would bet. I bet the Tiburones might put 3,000 gold that they'd win. Then they'd get. Would you start? I guess the next game you start with just 3K above your opposition. That'd be busted.
What is with you and J-Mac today? Just saying things that would be broken in Smite.
Dude, sometimes it's fun to think about what would break the game.
Yeah, I got that.
So here, I've got an item for you. All right, so let's add this item into the game. It gives you power. Okay. It gives you movement speed. It costs like 1,500 gold. They're boots.
Whoa. Whoa. I bet everybody would buy that.
Everyone would buy it,
I bet everybody would buy that. Herculean
One of them
Hoofs
gives attack speed.
I was trying to cast. He's still doing a bit. Herculean Hoofs are going to invade this red buff, and Gore, you're going to talk about it.
You're the one who's keeping me on track this time around, so the other way around. Gino is trying to keep the Tiburones boxed in this time.
Surely he doesn't chase.
Blugan right now, so they're not really going to be able to find too much on this chase. In fact, it's the turnaround. It's a lot of damage onto Baskin. Forces the ult out of the Giannis to get away, and now the damage is followed up onto Snoopy. Snoopy is barely able to get into that portal, but is it enough to escape the hovering death? No. Cope says no. Cope gets the execute, and now they're going to continue their chase. 4 members of the Tiburones chasing down Gino. Gino has no mana to work with this time around, and they're going to be able to get some body blocks, knock him into the passive, and knock him right back to the base.
Baskin has come back from base and is going to try and defend his own red buff. Tiburones have the rotation. Heed 2 levels up on Meerkat again. is trying to establish some pressure, but takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, I feel like this has been the same thing we've seen out of Jormungandr most of these times, which is incredibly low, almost burned down. Meerkat
Good
is
stun.
the one who's able to find Cope, and they still aren't able to find a return kill. They get rid of Cope Baby, but they lose 2 more. Baskin's in the jungle, incredibly low. They're not going to chase that kill. Instead, they're turning their eyes to a Gold Fury. Last time it took 17, 18 minutes before someone was able to take this objective. Now it's going to be 13.
Much faster pace to this game. 5,000 gold in the lead are the Sharks, and Gold Fury going to put them even further ahead. Gino, last time, just walked in and stopped them. This time, not nearly as scary. Blugan kicks him back and loses out on a good deal of his HP bar here, but no epic uppercut means no chance Blugan dies, right? Gino, no chance Blugan dies. Gino, no chance Blugan dies. Walk away.
Him. He's running him down, and he refuses to leave. Almost hit by the ult from Baskin. And that would have killed. Look how far that was shot away from. That was behind the tier 2 in mid. A lot of damage scaling as it crosses the map. But Baskin, unfortunately, just off the mark. That would have been nuts.
I kind of think the communication is, yo, Groggy Strike is coming up. Baskin, you got ult? And Baskin's like, yeah. And just shoots it out. And it doesn't work, unfortunately. Just a couple of pixels away from able to land that one. And the Herculean Hoofs find themselves at a pretty sizable deficit. Meerkat in some trouble, but Cope not going to land the scythe this time around. 5,000 gold and as much experience in favor of the Sharks. Gold Fury already dead. Pyromancer, the only feasible neutral objective that can fall in the close future. 14 minutes into this game. Got to think that the Sharks probably going to head there pretty soon.
Yeah, much faster pace you had highlighted in this game. 17 kills already. Tried to make it 18. Heed's going to ult to get away. Cope might not be so lucky. Up into the hovering death. And that should be the disengage from the Thanatos. Which is worth noting that Cope has been pretty proactive. I mean, 2, 3, and 5, you don't necessarily see it in the slash line, but like, Cope has been aggressive this game. A lot of the slows, a lot of the good damage, and a couple of executes have really been lending themselves over to the Thanatos. And so, good looks for the Tiburones. I mean, what, I guess maybe 100% turnaround? Not necessarily. They were keeping it interesting game number 1. But this is the first time that they felt like they were in control.
You know how last game was kind of a slower pace? It was the first Gold Fury at 18 minutes. We were at like 7 kills at the 12-minute mark, and I said, this is a slow game for SCC.
Yeah, that's because you get this.
Yeah, we got 17 kills in 15 minutes here, and I don't expect it to slow down whatsoever. Gino has zero regard, not just for life in general, but specifically his own life. I mean, this dude simply doesn't care. He's just walking in and somehow understands that he's got that kind of control. He's got that kind of space, but maybe not enough control to stop this Pyromancer from falling.
Yeah, you had highlighted it before as the first neutral objective to potentially go down. Gino's here just a little bit too soon. Tiburones do secure themselves a Pyromancer, so they've not both of the neutral objectives. Technically, they got that one Draugr before, but I think Snoopy is about to equal that one out. So ultimately,
you should cast the 1v1.
The 1v1 between him and the Draugr. Snoopy's hitting the autos, and it's doing some damage. The Draugr's just there and dies. Ooh.
You gotta get hype. You got a solo kill.
He did. Yeah, he's been soloed out twice by Ranjaro as well.
Leave him alone. Why is Snoopy catching strays?
Yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and fire some shots at him. Take the PvE, take the PvP next time.
Good lord, Ranjaro has been getting the better end. Of
he's 2-0-5 on Cupid, baby.
Yeah, he's having a good time, and his support's 4-1-4, 6 and 9, 6-1 and 9. Isn't that a song? 619. Someone in the chat knows what 619 is.
It seems like if I'm right about area codes, I'm pretty sure that's like in the Jersey area.
How do you know? Are you from Jersey?
My wife's from Jersey.
All right, well, that's why you know that. Anyway, 619 for the duo lane of the Sharks was the point that I was trying to make. 5,000 gold up as well. I think that the duo lane is looking incredibly strong. I mean, it's a 2-level deficit for both support and ADC at this point. Mids equalize, jungles equalize, and Heed, 2 games in a row now, has found a lead. Last time was not able to utilize that lead to find a win. This time, trying his best. 619 is actually in San Diego.
That's wildly different. Where's her phone number from?
Yo, production, if you Google 619, is it just San Diego? Or is that? I feel like it's a song. No, it's from Rey Mysterio. Doesn't he do the 619?
Okay,
he is screaming at
San
us.
Francisco. Now I'm really is one digit. I guess area codes do kind of encompass a whole country.
My area
here.
code in Tennessee was 615.
Wow, what is up with this? How do areas work?
The post office hates us, is what it is, okay? They don't want you to understand how the mail system works.
How are you 615 and 619's on the other side of the country?
Well, because we're all the same country. It's a united nation. Anyway, Herculean Hoofs up against the Sharks is happening on your screen currently, Smite fans. 609 his jersey.
Well, see,
Production... Let us cast.
Hold on, I knew that one, but I
Okay.
wasn't going to say it because those are the first 3 digits of Katie's phone number.
Well,
But
yeah, and everybody else in Jersey as well.
Well, yeah, but I didn't want to out him. I knew Jithens would know it. He's from Jersey.
Is he?
Yeah.
How'd you know that?
Because I know Jithens.
Okay. Cast the game, dude. We
Yeah,
got a
okay,
game to
fine.
cast.
It's 6-11. Herculean Hooves are behind 5,000 gold at this point. 18 minutes in. Look, we killed a few minutes. And now we're going to see who can find more kills in the next few minutes. It seems like the grouping from the Tiburones is going to be pretty strong. There's the Fields of Love. They're trying to get aggressive. Mask Snoopy, get on out of there, but Snoopy uses his ult for it. Mask looks to go for the re-engage. Heed is the only one hit by the ult from the Osiris. And now he's going to be diving in, get some good knockups. Mask takes too much damage. Gino is at half HP. A good silence from Cope keeps him locked down a little bit longer, but not able to find the kills just yet. Ranjaru's low, but it's going to be Meerkat who's a little bit lower. They kill off the solo laner, and now all 5 members of the Tiburones control the left-hand side.
Primal Furies spawned up as well and should fall down pretty easily. Blugan tries to finish off the kill on a Baskin, but only gets beads for his trouble. Cope starts to rotate his way in there, gets smacked down by Snoopy, and turns on his heel to head back towards his team with his tail tucked, but maybe not too tucked because they came out really far ahead on that engagement. Well played to the Tiburones, who find themselves even further in the lead, and now with Primal Fury passive on their belt, could start to look towards this Fire Giant. I think they just go for it. I think they force the fight now.
They could. What? Why are you laughing at me?
Because I saw the gears turning in your head.
You can see me trying to catch up. Yeah, no. Ultimately, that Fire Giant looks like it is going to be there. I'm sorry, I keep yelling. That was probably obnoxiously loud.
Production already
chat.
muted you, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It didn't.
Chat's not been listening to me? Oh, no, chat, I love you.
I can't hear you either.
Remember me. What?
Oh, are you there?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm gone.
Hey, they went to the fire.
What if your bit was for the rest of this game, you just ignored me?
I just solo cast from here on out. Cope, baby, looking for Mast in the back line. It's Blugan, who drop kicks him to the wall. Lord of the Afterlife takes him over. Meerkat starts to loop his way all the way back around, takes the scenic route. Tycho Drum, not quite on the mark whatsoever. Screen doesn't land a single bit of it as Gino channels the Groggy Strike and makes contact with nothing. Fire Giant falls down. Credit to the Sharks.
Yeah, Tiburones able to pick that one up. That was pretty good. Cope is going to be the one who's on the chopping block, makes it out alive, so isn't too stressed out this time around.
We just switch roles. You want to do the analyst now?
No. My brain's fried, dude. We got 5 Fire Giants on one side. Tiburones are approaching 10,000 gold in their lead.
That's one way to say 7,000.
Potentially. Well, yeah, that's 7,000 is on its way to 10,000.
So
you got to hit one to hit the other.
Having a little bit of fun here on the cast here
They've got
today.
4 towers that they can burn through. That's what I was going to say.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, 4 towers still standing for the Herculean Hooves. 2 on left. And
9 total left in the game.
Phoenixes aren't towers.
I'm looking at...
Oh, you're looking at every tower.
Towers. All towers.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah, that's a lot of towers, actually, at this point of the game. 21 minutes in. Tiburones, though, don't have to worry about defending theirs.
Is it really only 21 minutes? This game feels like it's been going forever.
Really? Time's been flying for me.
Oh, I'm having a whale of a time. I'm having a lot of fun.
What does that mean?
Having a whale of a time? Like it's a, I guess
Are whales
it's a big,
notoriously happy?
I don't know. I've never dissected
I'm having a whale of a time.
This turn of phrase. That's...
Yeah.
Is that a southern thing? I got to ask that part.
All right, production. You've been fact-checking our area codes. Why don't you tell us the origination of whale of a time as Blugan tanks up this tier 2 tower and Sprina Ranjaru whittle it down, as Dolson would say.
Whittling is a fun little hobby, okay? So I'll defend it, all right? I'm
going to take up... I got Whittling's back, okay? Don't joke about it.
If the Tiburones can continue whittling down this tower, like you said, the Jagger buff around it maybe helping out a little bit. The Fire Giant...
They are actually whittling, by the way.
Trying to... Yeah, like, genuinely, they have a pocket knife in one hand. The tower is the twig on the other side. Now they're trying to lock down Gino. Gino seems a little too tanky for him. A nice epic uppercut. Gets himself peeled. And it seems like he's going to end up running away.
A whale of a time is an 80-year lifespan. That's what it means. So you used it wrong.
No, that's how people use it.
Yeah, well, they're wrong too. Left side tower now under duress. I said it, chat. Man, Meerkat dead for 45
Yo, your
seconds.
Smite bingo, we're checking it off. He gets aggressive and goes for some knockups. And he's going to be able to find a little bit of damage. The Phoenix is about, what, half health as of now. Aggression onto Gino, locks him up against the wall from Blugan. He takes way too much damage and might not be able to make it out of this one. No, just barely by the skin of his teeth is able to escape it. Masked ends up falling.
Oh.
Gino just afterwards. Snoopy and Baskin, the last two standing 20 seconds before they have backup, and Snoopy gets sent to the grave. It looks like the Tiburones are going to tie us up here in the 4th set of the day, push us to another Game 3. But maybe not before they kill Baskin off in the fountain.
Yeah, I don't think they can.
I don't know that they can, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, they
doing
will.
okay.
Nice
oh,
stun,
hey,
though.
Oh, he got a kill. Blugan's dead. Hold that in your chest, Blugan. That's an L that you are having to live with for the rest of your life. Baskin has branded you as his, and you have to just accept that going forward into Game 3. See how I tied that back in?
Yeah, there you go. We learned a lot this cast. We learned that Mifflin likes bets, can't afford $100.
Hey, I won. Some of you in chat took that action, okay? I know you did.
I shouldn't have reminded him. We learned area codes and that they don't make any sense.
Rey Mysterio was 619. That's the thing where he like gets on the ropes and he like kicks you in the head, you know? Like multiple times.
Either way, and then we learned that the Tiburones are able to tie this up and push us to game number 3. We're going to break it down and then go through the picks and bans for that right after this.
Well, Tiburones de Tijuana were able to do it, and now we are here with game number 3 of our 4th set of today, making us 4 3-game sets. Now, we only had to watch 2 in the previous one, but we are at the later hours here of the day. Before we get into it, we do want to throw a nice little happy birthday shout-out to one of our SPL players, Variety, out there celebrating his birthday. Make sure to all wish him a good happy birthday and a good luck in the playoffs for, as you can see, a nice little one. Happy 13th birthday to for. I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be 13. We'll say happy 13th birthday to Variety. Happy birthday. Enjoy your day and good luck in your SPL matches tomorrow. But back here on the desk one more time as we get ready to go into Game 3. Taco joining me here. Look, I'm just going to be honest. It's been a long day. We've seen a lot of Smite. In the Tiburones, they were able to adapt to this Giannis. Game 1, they struggled against it because of everything built around it. Game 2, they started picking that apart a little bit, and now we're moving towards Game 3.
A couple of missed engagements as well earlier on for the Herculean Hoofs. They weren't exactly able to try and build up the same sort of mid-game presence that we saw out of them in game number 1. But, hey, third time's the charm for a reason. For possibly the Tiburones here on this one, they could be looking to just ride the momentum off of this Game 2 victory over the Herculean Hoofs as their possible gateway to taking this set home.
I mean, it's just our phrase of the day is third time's the charm because it's always been Game 3s for the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you were thinking we weren't going to see a Game 3, haha, joke's on you. The Tiburones are able to bring us to Game number 3. Game 2, Kobe able to do a lot with this Thanatos, going back to an old throwback for himself, picking up some nice early kills, getting some early momentum rolling for Tiburones, and able to help push that team towards the later stage of the game. You look across down on the kills, well, you don't think much for Heat here, CSAT 0-0-6, but everyone else on the team picking up at least 4 kills for themselves throughout this game.
And a lot of those highlights, I think, basically giving a lot of insight as to where exactly things continue to go south there for the Herculean Hoofs. Normally with the Giannis, you see it through space and time, and you're immediately out of there. But as far as the Herculean Hoofs are concerned, having to expend a lot of their purification beads, their Aegises even at times, just to avoid the follow-up damage from that Fields of Love. So could be Renjaru on this Cupid, who's really posing a pretty massive threat here. Would not be surprised in the slightest to see the Herculean Hoofs either shift away from the Giannis and try to bring something new forward, or if it's going to be just a simple, strip away. They're just going to try to take it for their own.
Maybe we take this Gilgamesh away as well. In game number 1, it was a little bit back and forth. Game number 2, this game right here is exactly why anytime that I see North American SCC as a whole, I always keep in the back of my mind, this Gilgamesh might not go to the jungle. This might be a support Gilgamesh. We'll go to Picks and Pans for game number 3, our final Picks and Pans of the day. I now finally get to say that because it is a set in stone. There's nothing beyond here. Game 3, this is the one and done for it now. It's down to the final quote-unquote best of 1-4 because now this one's for all the marbles between these two teams.
And it's going to be a close one because Herculean Hooves, they so far seem intent on keeping that Persephone band away from the Tiburones. And Tiburones, they continue to ban away the Emoja, the Tiamat, as is tradition, I think, when you were in that second pick position. Can't really afford to let some of these power picks through.
What did this mid laner for the Sharks do to where that Persephone has just got to be banned away from the? Did they walk into the wrong rank game and all of a sudden they see a Persephone sitting at 15-1? They go, guys, first ban this no matter what. Hit the eject button on that god.
She's just incredibly frustrating to play around. You have to remember that grappling death, I think it's literally just the ultimate because the rework to her passive, not very many gripes over that. If anything, I would say it arguably made Persephone a little bit worse after the rework, but it's primarily just the beneficial beneficial factor of her ultimate where you don't have to land the ability in order to actually have an advantage in a team fight.
Giannis, maybe. Giannis? Hey, Giannis, it's a repeat. Second verse and third verse, same as the first. It's the same. 4 gods get locked in here for these two teams. previously in the, other matches, we have seen the Rom on the flip side for, and we've also seen the
make that
Heimdall.
5.
5 gods so far. We're at 5 for 5 on first picks for these teams. It's the exact same that we've seen in all 3 games. Now it's a question, it's going to be a Rom or a Jormungandr here. We'll have to go to the
I
Sharks.
think it should be a Cupid, honestly.
The Cupid would be a good call for it.
Call.
I think that Cupid was a really good adaptation for them because of the burst potential. I mean, you saw that the 2v1 kill that was coming out in that last little engagement between Snoopy and Ranjar. Ranjar got the better end of that one. I don't think Snoopy respected the damage coming from Cupid.
And it's actually, fortunately for your mental health there, J-Mac, it's not going to be a direct repeat all the way through on all 3 games. It's actually seeming as though there's going to be a fresh picks and bans that are going to be taking place here between these 2 teams.
Okay, well, we'll see what kind of reset these teams like to go for. We'll try and get those picks and bans up to you in just a moment here, but kind of looking back towards game number 2, the Cupid was a really wise option for them, got some good pressure, and now we get to see the revitalized picks and bans. We'll see if everything continues to run through, and maybe we still see a 3rd verse, same as the first.
Persephone, still a problem, though.
Still got to ban that.
She's still got to go. No questions asked whatsoever.
Where's my little button I slammed down? You know, it's like that was easy Staples button, but it's just the ban Persephone first button. Hey, Gilgamesh ban!
Gilgamesh,
that's new.
There's the adaptation that we were kind of hoping for, I think, as far as the Herculean Hoofs are concerned. And it's also going to be the Osiris ban. I think that's a wise choice as well. Herculean Hoofs, if they don't have any interest in taking it for their own, why leave it open for the Tiburones to have as a response pick, and that way they finally have a chance to just take this Raijin for their own.
It's been a reset across the board for. We're getting fresh first pick. Well, Raijin still makes it through as a first pick here, but this time it's for the Hoofs instead of the Tiburones. You know what? I'm going to agree with Gormizer. They need to change it from the Hoofs to the Hooves because that just makes more grammatical sense, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me talking through it. I was no English major. I was an art major when I was in college. I did graphic design as a thing, which look what I'm doing with it now. I'm sitting here behind a microphone instead.
I just say Herculean Hoofs anyway.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, we'll still say it the same correct way. Raijin, Fafnir, Sol, and Izanami, the first 4 picks, 4 drastically different gods aside from the Raijin, locked in here for both of these teams in the first round.
The RDO pickup, though, could be very detrimental for the Fafnir because that Cripple field is going to have a lot of restriction focus, I think, for these transformations. And it seems as though the Tiburones, they want a Cripple field of their own with the Fields of Love, although a slightly larger area to control. But as an ultimate in comparison to an ability, I think that does slightly favor the Herculean Hoofs for the time being, simply because of the fact that the immediate follow-up presence from this Izanami, from the Raijin, that's so much burst to try and actually deal with.
The Hoofs are tired of Jormungandr. They will finally ban this god away from Tiburones, and with the flip side, we do see the Ratatosker and now Erlong Shen banned away by the Tiburones de Tijuana. Cupid, Sol, and Fafnir as a top 3. That's a dangerous top 3 to give away. Tons of objective and structure pressure coming from just those 3 picks alone.
I like the idea here for the Tiburones with their current top 3 because they do have so much objective threat, as you just mentioned, but as far as objective confirmation is concerned, I think that does still tend to favor out this Raijin here for the Herculean Hooves. The Ganesh as well with that Dharmic Pillar is going to be able to provide great contest, and I think it's also just going to be that instance of wherever the Cupid ults, I could probably expect to see a Dharmic Pillars in response to that, because that would be the most difficult way for anyone from Tiburones to actually have any sort of follow-up impact.
Cope going back with the Thanatos one more time in game number 3, and we saw this Ganesh actually banned away in the second phase of game 1 and 2, making sure to keep that one off the supports. I'm curious, maybe we'll see why this Ganesh was banned away from the Herculean Hooves after a performance in this one. As we get ready for game number 3, Taco, it's been a long day. Who you got favorite for these drafts?
Well, I like that Go Baby has that Scent of Death. The second ability is going to be able to remove all of these slow cleanse, or it's going to be like a cleanse on all those slow procs from the Herculean Hooves. But if history repeats itself, Herculean Hooves might be looking to bring this one home.
Will the Herculean Hooves be able to bring an undefeated streak through the first half of their second phase? We'll have to see with the Sharks' fate. That'll lie in the hands of Gormizer and Mifflin to show us.
Someone will win. Yeah.
Are the fate in our hands?
Yep, you know it.
We are merely spectators.
Hindu writes the script for SPL, and then he delegates the SCC script to other people.
Me and Gore collaboratively have written all of the SCC.
I was gonna intro the game. We started the game with the same energy we ended last game on. Like we did. It didn't like we didn't even skip a beat.
Dude, these losers on the desk were like analyzing. These guys suck. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the desk. All SCC
You
kids
literally
in the chat.
looked at me before this cast and said, "Do you think we're gonna get a talking to for this cast?" And then you started with that energy, man.
Well, I said I was gonna push the envelope, man. And in the words of the immortal Anatoly, they were pushing the envelope. That's just us.
Is that a thing he said?
Like all the time.
I thought force the issue was his thing.
Oh snap! Those are the same. Those are the same.
They're like the same. Look, they both have words in them.
They fell from the same metaphor tree. Okay, all right. That's what happens.
I like the picture you just painted.
Yeah.
Like metaphors. As
Yeah,
an
I
apple
paint
falling
pictures
from
with
the
my
tree.
words as I am a speaker, and that's my thing.
Well, right now, Cope is looking to potentially paint the lane with blood.
How'd
if
you
he can
know?
go
He was
for
coming. How'd
a
you know
nice
that?
gank. Well, yeah, there's a nifty little mini map up in the top
Sound
right
like my
part of the
teammates.
screen, and now Cope is going to come in for the silence. Gino has one
nice.
himself, but Gino doesn't have the damage nor the silence to stop that one. Snoopy might not be able to do anything about this. Has to dash on out of there. First blood, a minute and 20 in, goes the way of the jungler for the Tiburones.
And that's a little micro view on the mental of the Herculean Hoofs. Gino from the grayscale screen penta-pinged his jungler who was not there. And, well, Mass wasn't there, so fight goes the way of the Sharks. Early first blood, and I just talked over that high-octane 1v1 where Meerkat comes out barely ahead.
And he's still alive. I think that's really what he's going to be hanging his hat on. Did not die.
He's like GLaDOS.
And that one, yeah, he sings the song at the end. Turns out.
You know the name of that song?
Well, it's called Still Alive.
Oh, snap.
Would you believe that I know who it's written by as well? Jonathan Colton.
No, it's GLaDOS.
Well, she's who performs it.
And you're what?
The song was written by someone else who is a musician.
They can do that? Wait, you're telling me Beyonce doesn't write all of her own music?
I don't know if I'm supposed to chomp at the bit or not here. Like, yes, I'm telling you this. That is true.
What?
In fact, here's a fun fact for you. Sia, who is renowned, right? White hair,
she's
half white hair,
chandelier.
half black hair. Yes, does and did write a ton of songs for popular artists.
Name one.
I think she's written songs for Beyonce or Rihanna, one of the two.
Oh.
But when songs of hers that she really enjoyed, which I'll hold that thought, never mind, we'll get right back onto it. Now Gino's not going to be able to get anything Snoopy. Maybe they're going to get aggressive onto a purple buff. Maybe not. Either way, when they weren't picked up by other artists, she would perform them. And so that's where she was able to pick up some of her popularity.
Huh.
And now we'll see if Gino can pick up their popularity. In fact,
Whoa!
they're going to. Richaru just gets erased from the map. And now the damage is going to be solid. Bluegan's taking some poke, but Gino is not going to be able to survive this one. Now Snoopy gets a dash just off the mark with the hammer from Bluegan. Almost able to find the trace. Snoopy stays alive one more time.
Dude, Cope has ganked this duo lane like
He hates
3 times in 3 minutes. Yeah, he is probably going to fall a little bit behind in farm for all this attention he's tossed over towards the long lane, but since his ADC is no longer there, could at least strip away that wave for himself, so won't fall too far behind. And Gore, I got to give credit where it's due, and maybe you at home thought I was going to talk about the game, but it's to you, Goremizer. Very often when somebody says fun fact, they preface that. That's the preface to a very unfun fact. That was a fun
I do that
fact.
a lot when I, like, with Smite trivia. I'll say, hey, here's a fun fact. Some weird number nobody cares about.
No, somebody cares about it. Like
I do.
Flare Boots out there eating it up. Cope Baby in the dual lane yet again, trying to find an invade, but instead finds Gino and potentially the kill. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Renjaru, credit for this one.
Again. He gets it another time. Guess what? He's part of 3 kills for 3 on the Tiburones, and all of them have ended up on one sad elephant on the other side.
Man, Gino's probably sitting there like, oh, this sucks, dude. I hate supporting.
The first time it happened, he pinged specifically Meerkat you had highlighted.
Or no Mast. And where's Mast been,
Mast.
by the way?
And not over here is the answer, although he's looking for it. But guess what I see? A couple of wards. Oh, no, it actually just despawned Mast as a clear path to the lane. And yet no setup, has the ult, is going to go in, gets the taunt. Renjaru is going to be able to beads, dash, get away. Mask follows up with the leap. But you can't do nothing about that.
Hey, at least he gets the beads off of Renjaru, who's now going to have to play a little bit safer inside of the lane. And Snoopy, having spent so much time alone in the dual lane because Gino has spent the better part of this match on the grayscale screen, actually finds himself slightly in the lead, an entire level, actually, over Renjaru.
And this is going to be Potentially a huge collapse. Gino's the one who's caught out, but it's Blugan taking too much damage. Actually jumps forward, kills off Mast, who's going for the invade. Up into the sky goes Cope, and crashing down onto Gino. Gets the stun, and isn't going to have the follow-up or the damage necessary. Blugan's too low. Gino lets him get away with the back. Cope too low. Is going to be able to disengage this way around. And here is another one for you. We do have a time spent dead graph. And I wonder, we don't go to it too often.
What, it's actually a graph?
Well, not graph, but like you see where the player damage is? There's one that does time spent dead, tracks it in seconds.
Dude, Doug's gonna like literally reading his hotkeys.
Oh no, we don't have it anymore?
Yeah, we don't have that anymore, says production. So
it was so toxic, I loved it.
Okay, that's something we're allowed to say, I suppose. Anyway, you know what, Gore, I'm gonna admit a legitimate failing on my part here. I do not understand how the XP has landed as it has. It's actually Gino ticking over to level 5 before the enemy support. It's actually Snoopy ticking over to level 6 before the enemy ADC. And that's with Gino being 0-3 and Snoopy being left alone for the most part as well. It's been very interesting to see how this lane has panned out. Maybe it's because Cope has just leached so much farm inside of the dual lane, but I mean, it's reflected on the board right here. We're talking a 1-level lead for the support and still an entire level lead for the ADC. They're losing that lane, dude. They're losing hard. He's 0-3.
I can see that. Yes, he's 0-3. He has been a majority of those deaths, and yet, like you said, getting away with it, at least as of right now. The Kumbhakarna has been the priority for Thanatos, but that has also left us in a different conversation. Game 1, Game 2, we saw a lot of focus in mid, and we're talking a lot about Baskin specifically. Hasn't come up so far this game.
It has not. Where's Baskin been, really? And you know what? Where's Mast been? My man has been absent from this game so far.
You missed the...
You got look, yeah, because I thought that we'd be back in the game already, so I expedited it to get this move down, and now I've done it twice so far. Yeah, Herculean Hoofs have been off to a slow start, but somehow have pulled ahead in the XP department inside the dual lane, which has been where the majority of the pressure has been coming from the Sharks. They have put so much emphasis over there that you got to assume that they're trying to find a lead through their dual lane, and it has not come to fruition just yet.
2-0-2 right now, level 5, a level behind Masked. And that's where Cope is sitting. You had mentioned earlier, spending too much time in the dual lane might be losing out on some experience, and it seems like that is the case. Just ticked over to 6. The Greater Scorpion over here on the left. Going to get burned down. Dharmic Pillars thrown up. Spreen is the target of this aggression.
I think he's dead.
Stay alive a little bit longer, but that Disaparate can only last so long. Snoopy gets credit for the kill, but Masked ends up paying for it. Fields of Love helps find the pop back on that. Spreen credit for the kill, though. The Tiburones pick up a 1-for-1 trade.
Bro, Disaparate is so good. Makes him survive the Surcat ultimate. Does lose out on the beads, though. Does the soul. So Herculean Hooves should come out slightly ahead on that trade, having traded out their 0-1 for a 1-0 on the Spreen on the other side. So Bounty goes their way, strips away the beads. Mass doesn't have to use his blink. Yeah, I'd say that's a clean win for the Hoofs. Tiburones still ahead 3 kills, 5-2 at the top of the screen. And gold, yeah, it's dead even. I'm not going to do the math, thank God. Doug is here to pull up the chart. So yeah, 509.
Myth. Hey, it's 7:30. I've been here for 8 hours casting. Can we, like, what? The numbers don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, after the 4th hour, I don't math. And I don't do it.
You did math last game.
Did I?
Yeah, you started to do math and then said, "Don't do math on cast."
That's the first thing Hindu told me.
I should know that.
Well, the first thing, all right, when I first got hired, Hindu looked me in my eyes and said, "You're bad at the game, and I don't know why we picked you up." And then the second thing he said to me was, "Don't do math on cast." And he's been right on all fronts so far. Every time I do math on cast, it's gone poorly. And I suck at my job.
I actually really enjoy having you around.
Oh, thanks, man.
Much. So, you know what? He was wrong, at least on the first one, which I don't get to say too often.
Hindu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hindu. I'm waiting for him to pull this one up for our next VOD review and be like, all right, so you think I'm wrong, huh? Let's listen to it.
What do you think you guys did good here? What's a single good call you
Entertainment,
had?
baby. That's what we're turning up to the max. And
oh my God.
is getting turned
Dude,
down
get out of
to
there.
0. Couldn't do anything. Turned around for the Taiko drums. And instead, he just hears the beat of his heartbeat slowing.
Yeah, the Herculean Hooves are not looking so good in this match so far. Heed able to use the CC immunity from his ultimate to disengage, turns around to try and find the root, and maybe loses his life for it. Good jukes, though. I mean, all right, there it is. Max picks up the kill. Heed falls down. Circuit credit for this one. And Fafnir, you're a little bit late on the rotation. Not sure there's anything left for you to pick up.
Yo, I don't know. Meerkat's backing in the lane. Fafnir could notice it. A good leap, good hammer.
He doesn't go for these.
Could get a kill. Bluegan, come on. You got this, man. Okay, yeah, you're right. He's not going to go for this. He might go for a blue buff, though. Although, look, I've played the support life. It's going to take you way too long. There's a Circuit and a Ganesh hanging out in the jungle here. So that's not going to work out too well. Finally does throw out the hammer. He gets a... I'm just going to call it a useless stun on Gino. Doesn't really result in anything. Yes, I did.
He dropped a singular taunt, and I heard every line of it. That almost never happens in a Smite game. I feel like I never hear the taunts, actually. A little bit of toxicity ringing from Bluegan here from the 2-level deficit that he's currently sitting at. Kind of wild that he's trying to punch up.
They can taunt in game, but I can't have my time spent dead chart. Come on.
Well, no, that's not their fault.
Yeah. No, I blame them.
You think they're... Hey, can you guys stop showing the time spent dead chart? It's really embarrassing. And then the design team was like, yeah, all right, we'll get rid of that.
Well, I guess, you know, it kind of makes sense. We don't bring it up often unless I want to meme someone for the amount of time they spend dead. Yeah. Which I genuinely think competitively, there were times it was brought up organically, but I think most of the time it was only brought up for hi-rez versus bros to laugh at how often hi-rez was dead.
Well, that was before I was hired, so it would be different.
Yeah, it was before I was hired too, the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it would be so different nowadays.
Oh, no.
Cope, though, look at this.
I'd be 0-25, baby. Let's see what Cope can do. Goes up and retreats, so he's not going to be engaging too heavily.
What a misnomer, Gore. They call that hovering death, right? He didn't die, and nobody died. No, that ability name is wrong. Should just be called hovering. That's a bad joke. Maybe it was someone probably like, oh, I'll tighten it up for my Type 5.
I liked it at first, and then I liked it more when you called yourself out on it.
Yeah, that joke was low effort, and it won't happen again.
It was a low-hanging fruit, not a hovering fruit.
No, that
and then
was
the
bad.
joke died.
Yeah, that
with me.
Yeah, here lies the joke. Gore Miser killed it.
2021, 2021.
Gino tried his best. Damn, I just laughed on air, unabashedly. We're really in. This is real hi-rez hours. It's happening.
Yeah. No. Now
I've invoked it.
Now here's a fun story. Story time. Everybody, pull up a chair.
I'm already sitting.
Well, you know what? Chat's probably already sitting too, for the most part. We had a day way back when, which potentially hold that thought. Yeah, Meerkat's getting aggressed on, ruining the story. We'll see if he can make it out alive. In fact, not just alive, he's got backup this time around. Hovering death goes up. Cope is trying to retreat. Heed as well, looking to stay alive and safe, but that's going to be a tower dive. Beads forced out from Heed. And the kills will not be flowing this time for the Herculean Hoofs. Ult for ult trade. 2 for 1, though, favoring the Herculean Hoofs. My story's short but sweet. And I don't know if Zayden's going to be listening to this, but he would remember this. Me, him, and the Tigress, who had worked here at the time, we did a 12-hour broadcast.
Was that Hand of the Gods?
Hand of the Gods, yeah.
Yeah, that was. I watched that.
And that's what this gets to be like. There was a certain point, you're watching Ganesh versus Ganesh. They placed their 30th pillar for the game, and it's the 10th matchup you've seen that day. That you just start, vibing.
Yeah, I got a Discord message that day. We'll see whether or not Snoopy decides to use some counterplay for this Fields of Love. Learns his lesson from the last game, does use the Aegis and maintains his life, but loses out on half his HP bar. I actually got a Discord message that day, and they were like, yo, check out this Hand of the Gods tournament. It's been going for like 11 hours. Look at Gore Miser's eyes, and you looked so tired. Just absolutely, unabashedly exhausted.
I'm pretty sure all I ate that day was like 2 Lunchables.
That is a gamer diet.
That's all we had. It was the choice of do I eat Lunchables or Hot Pockets, and we didn't have time in the break screens to make Hot Pockets.
That is the most gamer thing I've ever heard. All right, what am I going to eat today? Lunchables or Hot Pockets? Toss in some Uncrusties, and you've got the holy trifecta of the gamer diet. Gold Fury, though, is burning pretty fast here. Baskin trying to steal.
Yeah, he's going to go up for the Tycho Drum's going to be a little bit late. And still tries to find some of that damage.
It's a dead even game.
Still, yeah, keeping it about as even as you can. What is that, 600, 700 gold separating the two teams. Although that Fury may be going to help escalate a little bit more in favor of the Tiburones. You can see the spike down on the charts.
no way they collapse on this guy at his speed buff, right? He trying his best
They might.
to find him off. Snoopy takes the 1v1 up against Renjaru, doesn't realize that Renjaru is not a practitioner of the Bushido code, and instead it's a jump. You got jumped by Cope and Renjaru, and you don't win this.
Well, Blugan is now the one who's looking for the steal. Pyromancer started up by Herculean Hoofs. It's low. He's got a ward sitting on it. Hammer any time now. Leap a little bit too late. Hoofs pick up the Pyromancer. And that should start to pull them, well, no, not quite in the lead. Tiburones, after that Gold Fury, as well as the kill pickup they got, they're still going to be hovering just under 1,000 gold ahead.
And now just over 1,000 gold ahead as the tower does fall on the
shout-outs to
left-hand side.
Renjaru.
Yeah, shouts Renjaru, who has been actually
Kinda nuts the
stomping.
last 2
He's been
games.
stomping Snoopy. That's Snoopy, by the way. That's Evan Jones on the other side, the young prodigy from Canada, and he's getting it, you know. Renjaru's doing it to him.
I wish everyone could see your face as that devolved. That was like, if I wasn't seeing you smile, I'd start going through like the steps of a stroke to make sure you were okay. Because like that sentence just stopped at some point in your brain. It did not continue.
Here's the thing about how we've been really loose on this cast. I almost let something slip that we should not have. So
Hey, and you know what? In my experience, that's how you know you're having a really good cast, because you're really
you're really loose, real limber.
You're real limber. You're really, well, more or less, you're really relaxed.
Yeah, I
and
feel
therefore
like the
should be
players
more
feel like this.
entertaining.
Yeah, the players are probably feeling pretty relaxed as well, even though everything's on the line here in a Game 3 situation. But
It's the 11th game of the day. They're fine.
Yeah, they're chilling. You think they watched all 11 games up until this one?
No.
Yeah, no shot, right? I watched them.
Yep. you are right about that, Miff. You watched them. Good on you. All right, 7-3. I know half the chat's loving this. Half the chat wishes we would analyze something.
Dude, could you talk about the game?
What we'll analyze right now. Blugan, hey, he's caught in the Dharmic Pillars. It's doing a lot of damage to him. Meerkat takes out Blugan, and that's going to be Spreen on the back end as well. Gank between Mask and Baskin. 2-0, and they're looking at a cheeky 16-minute Fire Giant if you're the Herculean Hoofs. And nobody in the Tiburones looks to step up.
Well, they got time, man. We're 16 minutes in. Surely Heat's going to peek his head over. I mean, we're 16 minutes in. Surely that he's going to, like, they could see the... All right, no. Fire Giant's going the way of the Herculean. Who's 5 members now? With Fire Giant on their belts and a slight gold lead. Thank you very much, Doug. 300, now 500 in their favor. Experience a little bit more indicative of the pace of this one. 5,000 going the way of the Herculean Who's, and still so many towers left standing that you got to think that the gold is going to be even further in favor of the Herculean Who's at some point in the near future once they elect to group up as 5 and start to push it. I've analyzed for about 20 seconds now, and I don't think I've said anything relevant.
Look at the build for Cope.
Okay.
Talk to me about it.
So Cope went for
That's some
Jotun's
tier
Wrath
1 right there, baby.
first. He went for Jotun's Wrath. That's some power, some penetration, some mana, and some cooldown.
Yeah.
Prove that I know what that item does. That's an early power spike, and he wants to keep that going with the Hydra's Lament.
Yep.
Immediately into some more cooldown and burst potential. So if he lands with the Hovering Death, can auto-cancel, and then immediately toss out the Death Scythe. You might see it here, actually. So he's going to land from it. Auto-cancel. Scythe. There it is. That's a lot of damage.
That is a
Hydra's
lot of damage.
rocking through here. And now Snoopy, he thought he could clear a wave. He was wrong. Shouldn't have tried.
Oh, blink forward from Cope as well. Maybe not necessary, but
felt
still
excessive.
finds the cutoff path that's necessary. And now Dharmic Pillars get popped up, and they walk right through it. Renjaru Cope end up losing their lives. Guess who's next? It's Blugan. And this team has Fire Giant for a reason. They get rid of Snoopy, though, and that should slow down some of the siege. I say that, and then immediately we look at Heed, who is knocking down a tower.
Yeah, Heed's knocking down a tower. Spreen's like, I'll do the same thing. Masked, forced back to base to try and defend some of his towers. It looks like it is going to be mid lane, where he puts his eyes. Meanwhile, on the other side, Meerkat, Gino, and Baskin are like the 3 Stooges, trying their best to clear out this Tier 1 tower, but Snoopy's not there, so it's going to be pretty slow.
Well,
they're done. That was faster than I
well, they
thought.
got Tier 1.
Well,
They've
fire.
lost 2 Tier 1s in the process, though. Now they're looking for a Tier 2. Spreen's just looking to try and stay alive. Supernova thrown onto the ground. And that's going to be the Disapparate canceled out. Now he has some backup, gets some healing as well. That good old soul self-sustain. Mask is going to have to call that one off. Although might not be done just yet. It's chasing Heed down into the jungle. That is going to finally, end up with Mass pulling back and going for some mid camps.
So we still got a minute and a half left on this Fire Giant with a 1,300 and 80, 1,430, 3 kills to their credit as the power play here. I was reading the top left-hand side of the screen. I don't read that fast. Herculean Hoofs, credit for the Primal Fury as well. Just again,
what
my
numbers
eyes.
were you looking at?
Well, it's the power play thing where it like
oh,
counts how
okay.
much gold you get.
You were. I heard you spewing numbers. I'm like, you're not. That's not kills. That's not timer. That's not gold
Dude,
lead. I don't know what you were saying.
Yeah, it was the power play. Yeah, and now it's 2,269 gold differential.
Nice.
Off of that power play. 3 kills still. And still a minute left on this Fire Giant. I'm not going to meme anymore, all right? This is the last game of the day, and we're going to cast it. Gosh darn it, we're gonna cast it, okay? Herculean Hoofs, 50 seconds left on the Fire Giant, approaching the Tier 1 tower of mid, and their siege potential is deceptively strong, Gore. I mean, Ganesh creates infinite space with the Dharmic Pillars. We've seen what guys like Yarkor are able to do on the RDO, so you gotta think Meerkat should be able to emulate at least 5% of that. And if we're going forward with that, the Herculean Hoofs, with the lead that they're looking at, could just keep pushing. Tier 2 tower burning very fast.
And you'll never guess who's back. This time around, it's Snoopy. So that's going to help with this siege. Might not have the FG, but still, having your attack damage carry there is going to be helpful. Cope is just erased from the board. Blugan is lucky to not be in that Dharmic Pillars. Goes up into the Dragon form. There's a Fields of Love to try and get some peel. Great play from Renjaru, but it's not enough to save the life of Blugan. A lot of return damage. Meerkat incredibly low masked along with him, but not enough to find the kills just yet. In fact, Gino has been irresponsibly aggressive this entire set. I think you had said it in last game, and we're saying it again here, but it's going to get aggressive. Now we see how much damage they're going to be capable of doing. Fire Giant buff has disappeared, so this Tier 2 is likely going to be the last bit of this siege. Some more gold in their pockets, and then a back off from the Herculean Hoofs, up 5,000 gold now.
Yeah, they are in a primed position to look at subsequent Fire Giants here, Gore. They could go towards the Pyromancer. They could go back to base. Green Eggs and Ham
16-minute FG
are the words that just left my mouth. 16-minute Fire Giant should respawn in just a moment. Going forward, Tiburones are not looking at too bad of a deficit at this point. Only 5,000. 21 minutes in, so you got to imagine they've got the capacity at least to try and put up a defense, as they did take a fight inside of the jungle, outside of their Tier 2 tower. Generally a Fire Giant siege situation. You want to defend your tower and utilize it rather, as the unofficial 6th man, and the Tiburones decide that they want to take the honorable death and square off inside of the jungle like some old war reenactors and do not come out ahead for their efforts. So why not just do it yet again, but this time with the Fire Giant? Back him up. Third party, the Fire Giant. It's a 2-man party between the first party, the Herculean Hoofs, and the second party, the Fire Giant. So if the Tiburones show up, that's a third-party situation.
Sure is. Meerkat incredibly low. Hovering Death gets the execute, and that's going to kick off this fight. Cope is now incredibly low himself, though, and Baskin is going to be able to pick up that kill. Renjaro trades out with Snoopy one more time. That is all 3 kills that Renjaro has, I believe, on to Snoopy. And now they're looking to isolate and lock down Masked. One more chance to be able to chase down this Circuit. They're going to be able to escape. Leaves the Tiburones a little healthier with the Coerce popped as well. Renjaro's alive, Spreen's alive. They've got a lot of burn potential for objectives.
Yeah, Renjaro doesn't have a whole lot of lifesteal, but is Cupid, so should be able to drop some hearts, or I think he's using like the coal cleaning guy, like the chimney sweep, so he drops cans of beans. Should be able to heal up with those, but instead heads back towards base. Meerkat dead for 10 seconds. Snoopy dead for 20 entire seconds. And Cope should be joining the chimney
sweep
in 10 seconds. Yeah, that's like a czar
mage.
He's like a genie. He's like Will Smith in that one movie. I'm not sure.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, he's like Will Smith in the movie. Was it Will Smith? It's Will Smith.
It's Will Smith. No, you're right. I'm just saying, have you seen the movie for the comparison of looks that you're giving?
Well, I mean, they're both.
This is much more like Black Mage-esque to me than what you said.
I guess I am profiling, right? Not all genies are from the what
Bottle?
will remain unnamed movie from great conglomerate and owner of space opera fantasy movie.
Where
everybody knows who we're talking about.
Katie and I had our wedding.
You had your wedding in the war?
Amongst the stars. Yeah, no, in a wedding pavilion owned by the people that you were talking about. Either way, we'll see where this aggression finally goes through. Cope is able to start off with a kill. And it seems like it's going to slow down. Cope is still looking for more. Finds the last hit, gets the double onto Snoopy. Takes out the dual lane single-handedly here for Cope. And now he just trying to escape with their lives, but it's a 3v5. Meerkat trying to lead the way. Instead, Cope is the one who blinks forward, immediately aggresses onto Baskin, and now trying to chase them down. A good Thunder Crash forward. Baskin just jumped into 5, and Baskin pays for it with their life. Masked has no health, but is still alive and is running away. Unfortunately, Meerkat cannot say the same thing. Masked gets out, manages to salvage the deicide from happening, but is going to have to watch on as this Fire Giant gets stripped away.
And it is burning quickly. Renjaru, low HP, but of no concern to himself, is going to drop bottles with corks in them to heal up and walk his way towards this right-hand tier 2 tower. It's going to be 30 seconds until Baskin rejoins the map and 40 seconds for Meerkat, so the siege potential is ridiculous for the Sharks here.
Who are 2 Garrets.
What is that?
It was a bottle with a cork in it.
Yeah, they're like sake bottles or something, but this guy is clearly not Japanese. Or maybe he is. I don't know.
Maybe he is. We don't know.
Though. He's dead, that's for sure.
He is definitely gone. And that would normally slow down, in my eyes, all siege potential. Definitely stops that right-hand Phoenix push. But with Spreen still alive, you do still have someone who can knock down towers pretty easily. Has gotten only 1 ring, so not maybe as much attack speed oriented as we're used to seeing. In fact, might not be too much.
No,
he's getting taken down. Mask gets the last hit, and that puts that one to stop. Spreen is going to spend a minute thinking about his troubles.
Yeah, Spreen's like, man, I wish I didn't die there.
You know what would have been sick? If I didn't die.
Yeah, that's that hard-hitting journalistic analysis that you guys brought me on for. That's the player mentality coming through 100%. And you know what? I'm going to take that action right here. I guarantee you guys that the thought at least idly crossed Spreen's mind, and it reads exactly like this. Man, wish I didn't die there. And that's it.
That is, you know what? That is a unique glimpse into the player mentality.
Not
really
many other casters are willing to give you that.
We had that. Yeah, I honestly, sometimes that's as in-depth as it can get. And realistically, now you know.
And if you didn't know, now you do.
Yeah, exactly. The more you know star can go across the screen now. We should buy rights to that. Do you have to buy rights to that? And people use it in memes all the time.
I gotta think that is so old, and it might not be, but that is so old. That it's got to be hitting the public,
close to like public domain area.
Sherlock Holmes, the White Whale, Nessie, Bigfoot, and the more you know meme are now public domain. I've decreed it.
Mifflin has decreed it. You know, the highest law in the land.
That's true.
Mifflin. As we're waiting, wow, another minute and a half for this Fire Giant to dissipate. The Tiburones have done nothing with this buff.
Not a single thing.
And unfortunately for them, it is instead the Herculean Hoofs who are driving forward this force, looking to set up an ambush. And they're just going to be hanging out on the right-hand side of the map. They hear the Jogger Q, and they get aggressive. They've got minions with them, but it looks like they're not quite confident in their capabilities of knocking down the Phoenix without a Fire Giant. Ultimately, they've done exactly what is necessary. 3 minutes down on this Fire Giant, 1 minute left before the belt disappears. And that's probably going to be a pretty easy minute for them. They're kind of coasting.
So I guess we evaluate the next Fire Giant fight.
Evaluate this Fire Giant. How'd it go?
6,602 gold. Oh no, they lost gold during this Fire Giant. They've lost it.
It's a pretty even game.
Yeah, negative gold power play here for the Fire Giant so far. It is a pretty even game. Bring it back up, Doug. I want to break it down number for number. I'm going to read that chart to everybody, and I'm not going to give the mic back to Goremizer until I get that chance. 1,045 experience for the Order team, and a little bit of gold for the Chaos team as well.
You have the number. It was 1613, and
it was changing too much. I didn't want to read it. By the time I finished saying it, it would have been wrong, and chat would have called me out, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, yeah, you're probably right.
Did you just check your watch?
We'll see. Why you gotta help me like that? Nobody can see us, dude.
This is the closest thing to Casters
now,
After Dark you're ever going to get.
And this is why I was checking it.
Okay.
Because we are what is going to be 2 minutes and 10 seconds counting down from having a 9-hour broadcast. We'll see if they can hit it this game. Spreen is the one who's taken low. But it's Baskin who ends up losing his life first. Spreen still alive, finally. Mast is able to close it out. Mid laner for mid laner. Heed is surrounded by 2, but Snoopy looks to be the one who's getting the worst into this trade. Chased down by the solo laner. Has a lot of damage, but not enough to get the kill. Taken out by Heed. Now 2 for 1. Let's make it 3 for 1 with Cope finding the kill onto Meerkat. That is every single lane pillar stripped away. Your jungle, your support, all that's left standing. And a team with no Fire Giant looking to try and barrel down the left-hand side of the map.
So now we get a good look at how Goremizer values the lanes, and he does not care about support players because he does not think about Gino as a lane pillar. Left side, Phoenix burning down very fast, and Baskin, well, he's not respawning very fast. 4 members of the Sharks, strong and ready. Gonna think about maybe knocking on the door of the Titan, but Mast finds the double taunt, gets heart bombed, and does just enough to buy this game another probably 5 minutes at least, or at least 1 Fire Giant skirmish. Herculean Hoofs, though, have lost the most important Phoenix for a Fire Giant defense because now they're going to be on the opposite side of the map to keep these minions out of their base.
Hey, there's Caster Bingo.
What?
I don't know. That just seems like a thing I'd put on Bingo.
Really?
Yeah.
Talking about the left Phoenix?
Yeah. And, well, specifically saying it's the most important Phoenix. I'd put that on a Caster Bingo.
You know,
card.
I'd argue that
I'd put
all
Duress,
Phoenixes,
I'd put Caster Bingo, or, sorry, what?
Every time we bring up Caster Bingo, that goes on the Caster Bingo.
You'd have a free space. You'd have left side Phoenix being the most important.
Yeah, we need like 20 more.
Yeah, we do. Jeez, Bingo cards are hard to fill.
This is a crazy bit you
me saying pivot.
You say pivot a lot.
I have been lately. J-Max saying onto it.
End all, be all.
Yeah, I say that a lot. You say that a good.
I say absolutely a lot.
You say absolutely a lot.
I
Look,
sure
see?
do, absolutely.
Look, this is free.
Yeah.
Someone make a bingo card.
Someone just finished their bingo card, actually, unironically, and they're flexing on us. So, Fire Giant has spawned up. Let's reroute ourselves 30 minutes in. That Fire Giant happens to be enhanced, so whoever picks this one up will not have to worry about backdoor protections.
My favorite thing about this cast has been I've been able to meme, and then you're the one who's doing all the hard to when we have to ground ourselves, you're doing it, and that's making me happy.
Yeah, dude, I'm here.
It's like when I made you play good guy for the Valkyries.
So when there's 2 tracks in the sand, that's when I'm walking with you, and when there's 1 track in the sand, that's when I'm carrying you, and there's 1 track in the sand right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we are in there. Call it, Gore.
Gino gets taken out by Rinjaru. A great Dharmic Pillars, but not able to turn anything around. It's 2 kills for none. Tiburones find a second one thanks to Cope Baby with the hovering death. Fire Giant, half HP. We still have Mask, Meerkat, and Baskin in the area, but not looking for the fight. They're going to instead try to collapse on Heed, isolated in the mid lane.
I think he's okay.
But they've got some help, and he doesn't seem too worried. In fact, Heed almost wants to fight, but this could be the time to try and win it. 30 seconds without a duo lane, and the Tiburones are going to run straight down mid, take a tier 2, probably knock down a Phoenix.
Here's how the Sharks are inting, though. Why kill the duo lane? These guys have been doing nothing so far.
They
are
2-11 collectively.
You did that so fast. I was going to say their combined KD, and I was still adding it up as Baskin gets aggressed on in mid, under duress, and there's that Hydra's Lament damage proc to put him down. This could be it.
Yeah, Meerkat goes down, Mask's left, last man standing. We'll see if he's able to find any sort of defense here. No, they're not going to be able to do anything. They're getting taken down this time. Doesn't matter if you're undefeated. Doesn't matter if the Tiburones were hovering down the bottom of the standings. They take this game. They end the streak that has been the Herculean Hoofs, and they find themselves a win.
Chat, I would like to completely sincerely apologize for everything that you put up with here today. Goremizer copying my hand moves as it stands. Yeah, I'm sorry about that cast. Game was pretty sick, though, so maybe that carried it for you. Wait, you know what, Gore? I've been doing so much one so far. I'm going to keep it rolling, and I'm going to throw it to the break. You can catch up with the desk in just a moment as they break it down.
Gotta take off my jacket for this one. Oh. Dude, this... No, I know he was supposed to take you out last weekend, but he got busy.
Hello and welcome back one final time to the desk as the Tiburones de Tijuana are able to topple the undefeated Herculean Hoofs in a 3-game barn burner of a set. But before we even move into the rest of this, we got to give a special thanks to all of our guys here who have been here for the majority of this day, our production, our casters, our crew, everybody behind the scenes able to make all of this possible and bringing us all of these wonderful sets. So thank you all for being here. I've had to be here myself, and Taco has also been here for the majority of the day. As we close out our 11th game of the day, our 4th set here, Tiburones able to pull up a big win and a big upset against the Herculean Hoofs.
It was not easy for the Tiburones, but they managed to power through this one, J-Mac, and most importantly of all, I think that the addition of the Cupids amongst everything else just really did a nice job in terms of combating some of the pressure aspects that the Herculean Hoofs were initially trying to establish.
And we learned that, well, Cope is still dope with Thanatos, as he is able to have another clean game of his own with this jungler, able to pick up some nice early kills, get some pressure, allow the Renjaru to get some big, sick kills with that Cupid. And now we may be seeing some Cupid bans in the future for this team, maybe not allowing Renjaru to have that kind of level of fun with it. But as we come through here with these game threes, this is a big one for Tiburones because, well, they were sitting, well, nearly at the bottom of the standings, sitting at that 1-3. Now 2-3 puts them up in the, well, lower upper half of it still for it, but it's a big loss here against Herculean Hoofs because now they're sitting at least tied record-wise with the Winter Dogs.
They've definitely put their names on the map, though. That's for sure here. I'm talking about the Tiburones, of course,
right.
because this is definitely one of those sets where it feels really good, I think, to be the team that gets to play spoiler to the #1 seeded as far as the current standings are concerned. And moving forward, I would imagine that as far as the Herculean Hoofs are concerned, you know, this set I think gave them a lot to work with in terms of review, just because of the fact that Coat Baby, actual menace on that Thanatos.
Okay, forget the Cupid bans. Just go ahead and take Coat Baby off of this Thanatos. 12-3 to end out the day in this game in particular. 23,000 player damage. At one point during those replays, there was actually a Mannequin Scepter proc that ended up getting a kill on an enemy team. So Cope really doing a lot of work in this game, putting up some big damage, being top farm as well. 604 GPM, and this is post-benevolence era of this one, so able to put up some nice numbers for it. But a big win, nonetheless, for the Tiburones de Tijuana, able to bump themselves up in the standings. And as we take a look towards the schedule and standings to kind of round out everything that we've seen today, there's been a lot of action. Trust us, we've been here since like 10 a.m. this morning. It's been a very long day for us, and you may have missed some of the action. You can always go back and watch some of this either here onto the bot or even on twitch.tv/mypod. Hey, there's a shout out for our YouTube channel. So let's take a look at the schedule for anything you may have missed today. If you want to go back and see the action, it's 2 1s across the board. One for Joystick, one for Goodnight Nick, Sturdy Artisans, and now Tiburones join the mix and getting their wins today.
And it's still not over just yet either.
Don't say
Have
that.
to remember that there's going to be Elysium versus Just F6 on Saturday,
Okay,
following
goodness.
the ending of not for today, J-Mac. Don't
You
worry.
scared me for a moment there. I thought you were going to say there's more today.
This it's very reminiscent of once upon a time ago where there was this thing called PS4 Console Mondays.
Don't remind me.
This is what this these kind of, well, this day ended a little bit too soon for it to really be a true rendition of the PS4 Console Monday era, but we're getting close, you know. It's definitely a little nostalgia factor for me, at least.
Let's take a look at the standings after the first half of Phase 2 has come to a close for these guys. This is the first passing of their round robins. Herculean Hoofs and Winter Dogs sitting at the top of the standings for now. Winter Dogs and Average Joes still have one more match to be played. That'll get them to their 5 games as far as that goes. Those games will be on Sunday after the SPL, after playoffs have finished off, and the EU game, as Taco highlighted earlier, will be Saturday after SPL is concluded. So we still have 2 more SCC sets for the week. Thank goodness for our sanity they won't be today, but that doesn't mean Smite action is over. There's still SPL. Obviously, we still have it here on the shirt, the Smite Pro League. That's tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be the kickoff for our Smite Pro League starting tomorrow at, well, a good time of the day. I can't actually tell you off the top of my head, unfortunately. It's been one of those brain fryer moments. But on the bright side, we do have the Jade Dragons versus the Tartarus Titans to start things off, and then leading into that, going to be Atlantis Leviathans versus the Oni Warriors. So a pretty intense back-to-back best-of-5 series for the quarterfinals.
And as you can see highlighted at the top of that one, all matches this weekend are going to be best-of-5. Jade Dragons and Tartarus Titans, best-of-5. Leviathans Warriors, best-of-5. And then the winners of those, as you can see highlighted next, will go on to face the Camelot Kings and the Olympus Bolts respectively. And then Sunday, we'll face off in the grand finals for a best-of-5. So nothing short of Smite this weekend, as we have tons of action-packed adventures awaiting for all of us here, not just here in the studio, but you guys at home as well. So you're going to want to make sure to tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. The official SPL kicks off, but we will have the waiting room up at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 12 o'clock noon, or I should say for that one. So if you want to get ready for the pregame of it, be here at noon tomorrow again on this same channel for you guys. Until then, though, we're going to cut it off here and go ahead and get some rest and rest ourselves, rest our voices, rest our sanity maybe for one more night. And we'll see you all back tomorrow here with the SPL.